Chapter 895. They also noticed a problem. These 5 women seemed to be not familiar with the Pi brothers. That makes things easier. When a woman's appearance reached a certain level, it could indeed cause people to go crazy. It was not a groundless rumor that one would rather have a woman than a country. Qing Yutong and the others were protected like rare animals. Then they walked into a transparent crystal bubble. At the start, I thought it was something, but I didn't expect. This is an elevator, using water pressure to reach the desired floor. The old ancestor of Water Castle is definitely an alien. The group of people came to the top floor, and everyone here were influential people in Water Castle. However, the elders of Pi and Kong family did not come. The relationship between the 3 families was not as good as one would imagine. Usually, they would only let the younger generation participate. It was considered giving face. The appearance of Qing Yutong and the others also caused silence. When the influential men in Water Castle saw Qing Yutong and the others, they all revealed the same kind of gaze, and that was a kind of greed. This kind of woman can only be hidden, and cannot be seen by others. To be honest, these 5 women rarely appeared in front of the public. They were basically otakus, especially now that they appeared together. This kind of scene can only be seen during Yihua's meeting. This is the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. That's right, this old man has also seen countless women. That girl is too cute. That's right, especially that ponytail. There is also that cold-eyed tall woman. These are 5 women with different personalities. My God, this is too cool. It is simply a visual impact. Everyone was discussing, and Qing Yutong accepted such gazes. It was the same when she was a celebrity in the past. On the other hand, Yizizi was very unhappy. I really want to suck these people to death. Brett was also unhappy. Kai Yun and Yuhua were still fine. Because of the protection of the Pi and Kong family's young masters, some people did not dare to act recklessly. Everyone, I won't be greeting you, do as you please. Bao Pi said faintly, then went to arrange other matters. After all, it was his little sister's wedding. Miss, sit here. Kong Tai pulled out a chair, and Brett sat down without being polite. The others also learned from Kong Tai, pulled out the chair and let the beauty sit down. 5 men, just right for 5 women. A table of 10 people. Pai Pu felt that he had suffered a loss, the kind of loss. He was clearly the one who discovered it, so how did things turn out like this? It shouldn't be like this. He was the hero who saved them. But now, he felt that he was going to explode from anger. The weddings in this place sure are strange. Qing Yutong said curiously. To outsiders, it was better to act a bit strange. Kong Hong chuckled and said, this is a rule set by Water City. It is indeed very different from the outside world. I see. Qing Yutong nodded her head. Suddenly, a person appeared. Everyone stood up and bowed their heads slightly. Even the 5 young masters were the same. Who is he? Yizi asked in a childish voice. Pai Qing said in a low voice, this is the head of the Bao family, Bao Ci. Yizizi nodded her head. So that's how it is, he is the family head. No wonder he has the strength of an overlord. He was indeed powerful. However, he was unfamiliar with this supreme being. He had never seen him in that battle back then. It seemed like he had not participated in it. Is it very powerful? Kai Yun asked with a childish tone. Pippi said in a low voice, of course he is, Supreme Zun. Then he is truly powerful. This is the first time that I have seen a living Supreme Zun. Brett muttered. Everyone, Brett wasn't lying, the Supreme Zun that he had seen in the past were basically all dead, and this Supreme Zun was indeed a living Supreme Zun. Pai Guanghui said in a low voice, young lady, speak softly, if you were to be heard by others, it would bring you a fatal disaster. Brett didn't speak anymore. In her heart, she scolded the bunch of cowards. With such guts, you guys still dare to come and flirt with me. Bao Xi had the appearance of a middle-aged man, but who knows how long he had lived. His strength had already reached the level of Overlord, and he could transform into whatever he wanted. He could even transform into a woman. Standing on the main stage, Bao Xi's expression was deep. Then he said, "Today is the wedding of my daughter, Qi Shuwen. If everyone can drink to their heart's content, that would be giving me, Bao Xi, face." Qi Shuwen. Qin Yutong felt that this name was familiar. I seem to have heard it somewhere before. However, I couldn't remember where I heard it before. The other 4 women didn't know Qi Shuwen, and only Qin Yutong had seen him before. This Bao Xi's opening speech could be said to be very simple. With just this one sentence, he disappeared from where he was. In any case, it is your daughter's wedding, and you are leaving just like that? This is a bit too hasty. Right now, it was Bao Po's turn to take charge of the overall situation. Let's welcome the bride and groom into the venue. Bao Po shouted with a joyous tone. A red carpet appeared in the center of the venue, extending all the way to the door and floating in the air. A gigantic seahorse appeared not far away, and the scales on the seahorse's body emitted a bright red light, illuminating the entire underwater area. Roar! A dragon's roar suddenly rang out, and everyone could be seen clapping. No matter if they were participating in the wedding or not, it was all the same. Even the people in the city were no exception, and they all gave their blessings. Under normal circumstances, such a gigantic life form was not allowed to enter the city, but today was a special day. Therefore, the gigantic seahorse came. Behind the seahorse, there was an exquisite wedding carriage. There were all kinds of water life forms decorating the carriage, and the carriage was filled with warmth and romance. As the seahorse stopped, a man walked down from the wedding carriage. The man was wearing a red wedding robe. After the man walked down from the wedding carriage, the man stretched out his arm. A spotlessly white arm that was like a lotus root stretched out and placed onto the man's palm. This arm was naturally Qi Shuwen and Abalone. Abalone did not have any red veil on her head, and she was also wearing a wedding robe. Along with the wedding robe that Qi Shuwen was wearing, the wedding robe formed a gorgeous color, causing people to exclaim in admiration at the craftsmanship of the wedding robe. Qi Shuwen looked at his wife. The more he looked at her, the more he liked her. She has both looks and talent. She is indeed worthy of me, Qi Shuwen. Husband. Abalone called out lightly. Qi Shuwen came back to his senses and said with a slight smile, "Sharky, you are too beautiful." I became absent-minded for a moment. Abalone shyly lowered her head and lightly bit onto her lips. Husband really knows how to speak. The two held hands and tightly held onto each other as they walked on the red carpet, heading towards the banquet hall on the top floor. At this moment, Qing Yutong's system suddenly sounded out. "Master, a system user has appeared." "Ah, who?" "It is this groom." He is a system user. Why do I feel that I have seen him somewhere before?" Qing Yutong tried to recall in her mind, but she was unable to recall where she saw him. "What kind of system is he?" Qing Yutong asked curiously. "Master, he is a devouring system, commonly known as the Dragon God system. Through devouring, he collects dragon qi and strengthens himself." Chapter 896. Oh, so that's how it is. It sounds like it is very powerful. Qin Yutong pouted her mouth. Seems like there is only that kind of thing, right? Poking it to death with a single finger. Of course it can't be compared to Master's system. Master's system is the most awesome existence in the system world. Qin Yutong laughed. "Will you die if you don't brag about yourself?" The system didn't say anything. This feeling of being pretentious was great. It could know the surrounding systems. Very soon, Qi Shuwen entered the venue while holding on to Abalone. The clapping of these 5 young masters was listless, but the others were clapping with all their might, as if they had a grudge against their palms. Didn't it hurt? Even if he wanted to curry favor, this was too exaggerated. Qi Shuwen held his head high and chest out, holding the hand of the woman beside him as if he was announcing something. However, it was also the women around him that made him who he was. If he lost the women around him, Qi Shuwen would be nothing. He would still be the person who obtained dragon energy by devouring living creatures. Qi Shuwen understood what these people were thinking. So what? So what? When I reach the ranks of supreme martial artists, even if I don't have a woman by my side, you will still have to respect me. At that time, I, Qi Shuwen, will be able to cover the sky with one hand. Just as Qi Shuwen was shouting in his heart, he was attracted by the 5 faces. The thought of covering the sky with one hand instantly disappeared. Although he didn't recognize a few of the faces, Kai Yun. Yu Hua recognized these 2 faces. He had also seen it on television back then. Although Voidless Realm didn't cause any trouble in the end, that was because Voidless Realm definitely subdued those people. That was to say, Voidless Realm has also come to Kangluo continent. How was this possible? Impossible. Why does Voidless Realm have to follow me wherever I, Qi Shuwen, go? Do you all still want face? They even chased him all the way here. What do you want me, Qi Shuwen, to do? Continue running. I've already run to the Kangluo continent, where else do you want me to go? I didn't even go to land and hid in this water city, but I was still found by you. Damn it. Husband. Seeing that her husband was in a daze, Abalone called out softly. However, following her husband's line of sight, Abaoyu saw 5 beauties, and she finally knew the reason why her husband was absent-minded. Because he saw another beauty. Abalone Fish's expression instantly turned ugly. Her own wedding. Her husband was actually staring at another woman. Where would he put his face? Suppressing the anger in her heart, Baoyu called out in a low voice, "Husband." Qi Shuwen didn't hear Abalone, who was beside him, at all. His entire brain was buzzing, because Voidless Realm had arrived. He would be suppressed again. However, in Baoyu's eyes, her husband was bewitched by other women, and they were 5 vixens. Bao Pe, who was presiding over the wedding, also gradually became gloomy. In fact, Bao Pe didn't agree to this wedding at first, but he couldn't resist his sister's pleading and insisted on marrying no one but him. After all, Abalone was the beloved daughter of the entire Bao family. Qi Shuwen was also a refined person, so he could be considered a good match. But now, how dare he stare at another woman in a daze during a wedding? This was rubbing the Bao family's dignity under their feet. Look at all the guests, all of them discussing in low voices, and look at his younger sister's expression. House Pai's brothers thought that this son-in-law of House Bao was someone special, but they didn't expect him to be so mediocre. In a situation like this, he left his wife aside and looked at the beauties alone. I've seen amazing people, but I've never seen someone as amazing as you. The Kong brothers were the same. They liked beautiful women, but they also knew the situation. Moreover, you are a live-in son-in-law. If it weren't for the women around you, you wouldn't be where you are today. And you are actually staring at a woman, Sai. Are you here to be funny? Kai Yun and Yu Hua were also very puzzled. Why did this man keep staring at them? Was he sick? Suddenly, Qing Yutong slapped her thigh, startling Brett, who was at the side. Qing Yutong remembered, I have seen this man before. Back then, when big sister and brother-in-law were still together, didn't they go to a fish restaurant to eat fish? Tang Wei knocked over a fish tank and the arowana fell onto the ground. He was the one who saved the fish. Speaking of which, he is Tang Wei's classmate. Why is he here? Interesting. Back then, Yihua also wanted to nurture Qi Shuwen and Xanba into becoming his opponents. However, he felt that Qi Shuwen and Xanba were still not good enough, and thus, he decided not to bother with them anymore. If Yihua was here, he would be a little happy. After all, this Qi Shuwen is starting to look like a decent person. At this moment, Pai Guanghui said with a ridiculing tone, "This son-in-law of Bao family, does he not want his wife anymore?" Along with Pai Guanghui's ridicule, the Kong brothers laughed. This kind of opportunity has to be grasped. After all, it is hard to come by. Beautiful women are indeed good-looking, but as a son-in-law of Bao family, his wife is the most important. Kong Hong said faintly. Along with the words of Pai and Kong family, Bao family's face lost all face, especially Abalone. Even now, he is still staring at other people. Abalone, who was incomparably furious, immediately flung away Qi Shuwen's hand. At this moment, only then did Qi Shuwen react. "Sharky, what's wrong?" Qi Shuwen asked puzzledly, not quite understanding. "Since you like them, why did you marry me?" Abalone questioned coldly. She indeed liked Qi Shuwen, because Qi Shuwen was honest and never took a look at other women, unlike other men who would be unable to move their legs away when they see beautiful women. But only today did she know that this Qi Shuwen was actually the same as other men. After seeing a real beautiful woman, he would also be unable to move his legs away. He didn't even know what he was doing. This is a wedding. You, Qi Shuwen, don't care about face, but my Bao family still care about face. Along with Abalone's words, the entire place became quiet. This sudden situation caused everyone to be shocked. Breaking off the engagement on the day of the wedding. This was something that had never happened in Water City before. It might even become the joke of the entire Water City after dinner. "Sharky, it is not what you think, listen to my explanation." Qi Shuwen hurriedly pulled onto Abalone. He felt that Abalone's reaction was a bit too extreme. Just now, didn't she just become dazed for 10 seconds? But right now, I can only coax her, there is no other way. I'm not listening. I'm not listening. I'm not listening, Qi Shuwen. I originally thought that this kind of situation would only happen in my original world, but I didn't expect that. Even the girls in Water City are the same, unreasonable awe. Trying to reason with a woman, are you sick? At this moment, Pai Ching said loudly, "Sharky, Brother Pai had already told you in the past, look for a man. You must not look for a man like Brother Pai, who would be stupefied when he sees a beautiful woman. You just didn't listen to Brother Pai's words and looked for a man like this." Qi Shuwen was about to go berserk, but he endured it. "Sharky, I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose, can you forgive me this once?" Chapter 897. When this sentence was said, the 5 young masters all laughed. Isn't this the funniest wedding in history? A man's wedding. You saw a beauty and you still don't want to admit it, do you still want face? There are so many people at the scene, everyone clearly saw what you did just now, and now, you are actually begging for forgiveness. What is this man doing? I am looking down on you. Indeed, everyone looked down on this man. So be it, a man should dare to take responsibility for what he did, and yet, he is actually begging for forgiveness in such a humble manner. Trash. Even Qing Yutong felt that this man is trash, he is simply the shame of the system world. With an incomparably powerful system, he should have risen up, and not become a gigolo. Look at Yang Haotian, for the sake of the system, he even threw away his F***king face, barging into the palace in the middle of the night and playing landlord with Dou Fusher and his wife. He is too daring. Compared to Yang Haotian is indeed much better, at least he fought for the system before. And you are here begging for forgiveness from a woman, sigh. What a trash. Bao Po was also angered to the point that he couldn't speak. Previously, I felt that Qi Shuwen is like a man, but that sentence just now completely destroyed his image. Is this something that a man should say? He is simply not a man. Brett, Yi Zizi, and the others all revealed a look of disdain. Everyone present revealed a look of disdain. If it was possible, they really wanted to give Yi Zizi the middle finger. You, I love you, the kind of love that will never change even in death. Qi Shuwen hurriedly explained. Why am I so unlucky? I knew that nothing good would happen when I meet them. Look, the unlucky thing happened in an instant. I didn't even say anything, and I didn't even do anything, and I was inexplicably meshed with. If this isn't unlucky, then what is it? And now, I have no choice but to beg for forgiveness. After all, it wasn't easy for me to reach where I am today. Hearing Qi Shuwen's words, Abalone said in a low voice, All right, love until death, then show me that you are dead, I will believe you. Qi Shuwen, I am just a description. Qi Shuwen endured the pain in his heart and said. In the past, Abalone wasn't like this, she seemed to be very shy. Why did she suddenly seem to have changed into a different person? You really can't trust a man's words. Brother Pai is right. Abalone Fish coldly snorted. She suddenly felt that Qi Shuwen was very disgusting and hypocritical. Only today did she see his true colors. She must have been blind to have fallen for such a man. Pai Ching immediately replied, Sharky, bro Pai won't lie to you. You have to think it through. Shut up. Qi Shuwen turned around and bellowed. Everyone was dumbfounded by this shout. Pai Ching was the young master of House Pai. How could a son-in-law do something like this? How rude. Pai Ching didn't expect that this pretty boy dared to shout at him. He simply didn't want his life. I dare you to say that again. You're not the Bao family son-in-law now, and it's not even certain if you can become the Bao family son-in-law. Therefore, you better be careful. Of course, Pai Ching wouldn't let it go just like that. A little son-in-law dared to be naughty. Look at that Bao Pe, even he has to talk to me properly. Who do you think you are? Qi Shuwen was also intoxicated. Those sarcastic remarks and those ear-piercing laughter were all lingering in his mind. Finally, it exploded. You're the one who should be careful. I, Qi Shuwen, don't need you to care what I do. What kind of trash are you? Following Qi Shuwen's words, the entire world seemed to have frozen. What was the scariest thing? The scariest thing was that even the air froze. It was a bad feeling, as if something bad was about to happen. Pai Ching was a little startled. This pretty boy was just begging a moment ago, and suddenly he turned hostile. It was as if he had changed into a different person. The Kong brothers were a little surprised as well. This Qi Shuwen was really quick to turn hostile. He even dared to scold the young master of House Pai. Bao Yuyu didn't expect Qi Shuwen to do this. He was a little worried. After all, it wouldn't be good if things got out of hand. Bao Pe couldn't figure out Qi Shuwen. Which one was the real him? Was it the begging version, or was it the dominating version? Bang! Pai Ching slammed the table and pointed at Qi Shuwen. You motherfucker, say that again. Even the heavens can't save you today. Come on. My, Qi Shuwen's, life is not under the control of the emperor. Qi Shuwen suddenly became hard, it really made people speechless. Good. Bao Pa, how are you going to settle this matter? Pai Ching shouted angrily. I must definitely let him see why the color is so red today. Bao Pa naturally didn't wish for more problems to arise. He looked towards his little sister. You are the one who chose the man, you should just be more or less done with it. After making a fuss, if you really don't get married, where would father put his face? Bao Yuyu also knew that it was enough to teach him a lesson just now. In the future, don't be like this anymore. Therefore, Bao Yuyu prepared to continue holding on to Qi Shuwen's hand. However, Qi Shuwen angrily flung his hand away and looked at Bao Yuyu coldly, and even looked at everyone coldly. Everyone here was laughing at themselves. If there comes a day when I, Qi Shuwen, become a supreme, I will slaughter the entire water city and let everyone know that I, Qi Shuwen, am also a person with dignity. I won't allow anyone to trample on me. Seeing Qi Shuwen flinging away Qi Shuwen angrily, everyone was shocked once again. Even Qi Shuwen was shocked. Not only Qi Shuwen. Even Qing Yutong couldn't understand what was going on. Just what kind of person is this? Originally, you asked others to forgive you, and now that others have forgiven you, you flung away your hand. What is the meaning of this? Don't understand, Qi Shuwen shouted out gravely, let me tell you all. I, Qi Shuwen, also have dignity, don't think that after I, Qi Shuwen, leave anyone, Qi Shuwen, will become poor and dejected. When I rise up, you all are not worthy of me. Today's marriage. I, Qi Shuwen, am not going to accompany you anymore. Bao Yuyu, since you don't believe me, then let's forget about it. Today, I am not worthy of your Bao family. Tomorrow, perhaps, you will not be able to climb up to me. Facing Qi Shuwen's words, everyone expressed their doubts. Who doesn't know how to talk? Who doesn't know how to act cool? Do you think that becoming a supreme is a joke? Youngsters just like to brag, sigh. He must have definitely gone mad from anger. However, Qing Yutong believed in Qi Shuwen's words. With the system's assistance, becoming a supreme is only a matter of time. In the future, they will indeed not be able to climb up to Qi Shuwen. Bao Pe shouted out coldly, Qi Shuwen. Don't be so shameless. Do you know what the consequences will be? Consequences. That is still better than standing here and receiving your insults. Bao Yuyu, today, you have let me see clearly. Looking at Qi Shuwen's angry shout and that cold and detached expression in his eyes, Qi Shuwen seemed to have returned to the time when he first met Qi Shuwen. Back then, Qi Shuwen also felt that Qi Shuwen was special, and thus, Qi Shuwen continued to interact with Qi Shuwen, and slowly, Qi Shuwen became attracted to Qi Shuwen. Chapter 898. Omega 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 choking with sobs. Novel, but when he was dumped just now, he felt his heart ache. Especially when he heard these words, he seemed to have difficulty breathing. My husband, I know I was wrong. I was just jealous just now. I really didn't mean to do that. Biyuyu hurriedly walked to Qi Shuwen's side, grabbed Qi Shuwen's arm with both hands, and pleaded in a low voice. Kong Tai snorted coldly, if you have the ability, then continue to be stubborn. If you weren't the Bao family's son-in-law, I wouldn't let you leave Water City alive. Not only will you not be able to walk out of Water City, I won't even let you find a piece of your corpse. Pai Guanghui slammed the table and shouted. He was simply a daring gigolo. Who did he think he was? He couldn't even reach out to him. Who does he think he is? On the other hand, Qing Yutong was very happy to see such a situation. I didn't expect that I would encounter such a thing the moment I came over. It would be the best if a fight can break out. However, there was no need to say anything. She just had to act pitiful to gain sympathy. Look at Brett, she's already immersed in her role. She's performing really well. I'll leave the title of Best Actress to you. Even Yi Zizi and Kai Yun had performed well. They were truly not bad. This place is too scary, Yu Hua said softly. Her voice was not loud, but everyone heard it. Pippi hurriedly consoled her, Miss, we Water City's people are all very kind, but some people are insatiable. They think that they can do whatever they want after entering the Bao family. What a joke. Pippi's heart sank. Qi Shuwen glared at the fifth young master, looking like he would start a fight at any moment. If not for abalone dragging me, I, Qi Shuwen, would have let you see how red the color of blood is. However, could an abalone really hold Qi Shuwen back? Wasn't it because you, Qi Shuwen, were scared? Needless to say, Qi Shuwen was indeed a little terrified. He blurted out everything in the heat of the moment. But now that he had calmed down, he realized where he was. Even if he couldn't match up to them, he had to stay alive. If he really failed today, he wouldn't be able to get out of Water City. Then what was there to talk about? He reckoned that once he left this restaurant, he would be finished. Husband, calm down. They are just egging you on. Don't be fooled. Yu hurriedly said. If you were to leave now, then you would be falling into their trap. Qi Shuwen finally had a way out of this embarrassing situation. He shouted, if it wasn't for Sharky's sake, I would have killed all of you. When these words were spoken, the entire place fell silent. They were all stupefied. This man really is. He was flexible. Just a moment ago, he looked like he was going to fight with his life on the line, but then he changed again. It was too fast, it was really hard for anyone to react. Qin Yutong and the others were stupefied as well. This Qi Shuwen is truly outstanding. Are the heroic words that you spoke just now all farts? I have never seen such a shameless man before. If he had the guts to fight with the fifth young master, he would still be a man even if he lost. The result was the same. It was too disappointing. Looking at the fifth young master's expression, it was as if he had been struck by lightning. It was the first time he had seen such a man. Hee, coward. Even Leather scolded disdainfully. And Kong Hong and Kong Tai were even more ruthless, raising their middle fingers. This caused Qin Yutong and the others to express their curiosity. Could it be that this middle finger is also passed down from your ancestors? Just how many traditions did your ancestors pass down? Abeo Yu shouted out, don't instigate my husband anymore, my husband will not fall for your tricks. Sharky, you are really smart, I will not fall for their tricks, I, Qi Shuwen, am not a fool. Everyone, can't you act like a man? Where did the awe-inspiring air you had before go to? You are too fucking trash. Husband, let's not lower ourselves to their level. And, Sharky is right. Qin Yutong was almost unable to take it anymore. Just a moment ago, he was still domineeringly flinging away other people's hands, and right now, he is biting onto Sharky bit by bit, as if he is grabbing onto his last life-saving straw. I, Qin Yutong, am not convinced even when I pee on a wall, but you are the only one who is convinced. Right now, Yi Zizi wished that she could smash him into pieces with a single punch, he is simply shameless. Trash, I despise you. Pai Qing shouted out. However, Qi Shuwen and Bao Yu ignored him. The two of them seemed to have reconciled and walked to the front desk together. At this moment, Bao Po's mood was very complicated. He really wanted to slap this man to death. He was simply shameless. He had never seen someone so shameless before. He didn't know why his sister was bewitched. It was simply incomprehensible. As the two of them walked to the front stage, everyone quietened down. After all, it was the marriage of the eldest daughter of the Bao family. The Pai and Kong families could be arrogant, but the others didn't dare to be arrogant. If they angered the Bao family, the consequences would be terrifying. So the wedding proceeded as usual. Qin Yutong sighed in her heart, this matter ended just like this is too disappointing. This coward, the Bao family is going to become a joke, Pai Guanghui said in disdain. He didn't touch the dishes on the table as he had no appetite at all. What's wrong with a live-in son-in-law being a coward? Pai Qing said coldly. After all, he wasn't from the Bao family. However, right now, Qing Yutong was scheming something in her heart. Oh, that's right, what is that deep-sea arena that you all were talking about? Qing Yutong asked with a curious tone. Along with Qing Yutong's words, they seemed to have recalled something. Originally, they were going to the deep-sea arena to fight. Originally, it was fine if they didn't say it, everyone would just treat it as if they didn't say it, but now, since they had already mentioned the deep-sea arena, how could they still treat it as if they didn't hear it? Could it be that I have to learn from that Qi Shuwen? Isn't that the same as slapping my own face? So Pai Guanghui said indifferently, we will go after we finish eating, whoever doesn't go is a coward. I will accompany you to the end. Kong Tai said gravely. Right now, it was too embarrassing to say no. After all, there was Qi Shuwen as an example. Right now, Qing Yutong was at ease. Ladies, eat the dishes, don't worry, no one will be able to bully you all. Pai Qing said lightly, taking care of the 5 beauties. Qing Yutong was thinking, only you all are bullying yourselves, that's all. However, I still have to taste the food in this water city. All of them are seafood, and there are a lot of varieties. This Bao family is truly rich. Yu Hua suddenly asked, why is this deep-sea arena called deep-sea arena? Kong Hong was more fond of Yu Hua and said with a smile, deep-sea arena, as the name implies, it is located in the deepest part of the ocean. The surroundings of the arena is filled with magma, and if you touch it, you will die. Thus, it is quite dangerous. Yu Hua's face was filled with fear as she hurriedly said, then, don't go to such a dangerous place, if there is anything, let's sit down and talk about it. Yu Hua's words made them feel even more that whoever doesn't go would be a coward. Although they didn't really want to go, that place was indeed a little dangerous, and there was also the strange magma, even a Dozun would be afraid of it. Thus, it was very dangerous. What is there to talk about? If you don't agree, then fight. Baidu search 881 Chinese net yen. Yen. Chapter 899. Following Pai Guanghui's words, the smell of gunpowder was enough, there will be a good show to watch later on. After that, nothing happened, the husband and wife duo started toasting each other, but they did not come to this table, instead, they let Bao Pa come over to toast. Qing Yutong did not mind, but the 5th young master was very unhappy, this is not giving me face at all. Are you guys really going to the deep-sea arena later on? Bao Pa asked curiously. Of course, the words of a man carry weight. Kong Tai said faintly, isn't it just the deep-sea arena, what is there to be afraid of? Bao Pa laughed lightly, this deep-sea arena has not been open for a long time, it will be lively later on. Hearing this sentence, the 5th young master became silent. But since it has already come to this, I have no choice but to go. Bao Pa turned around and shouted, everyone, the Pai and Kong family's young masters are going to fight in the deep-sea arena later on, come and support them. Hearing Bao Pa's words, everyone started cheering, this is simply too awesome. Both sides of the fight are the young masters of the Pai and Kong family, there will be a good show to watch. Originally, the 5th young master wanted to carry out the fight in secret, but Bao Pa's words directly exposed him. Not feeling good, very not feeling good, brother Bao, how about we play together? Pai Qing said with a smile. Since you are not giving me face, then don't blame me. Bao Pa appeared very calm, if I come, then I will be bullying the weak. Just ask if you dare or not, don't be so long-winded. Kong Hong shouted coldly. Since you guys request like this, then I will accompany you guys to play, don't cry when the time comes. Who will cry and who will laugh is yet to be determined. When Qing Yutong heard that these people had already started to have internal strife, she was very happy in her heart, I am really looking forward to it. Would they fight to the death? Now that they were fighting, they couldn't care so much anymore. Then why are we still eating? Let's go. Pai Guanghui slammed the table. We are already going to the deep sea arena. I don't have the mood to eat anymore. Alright, let's go. Kong Hong said faintly. I will accompany you guys to play then. Bao Po laughed lightly. Qing Yutong and the others were already impatient. They continued to sit on the carriage outside and followed these people to the deep sea arena. When everyone knew that they were going to the deep sea arena, they stopped eating and quickly followed them. After all, it was a rare opportunity to go to the deep sea arena. Without deep hatred, who would go there to fight? If they were not careful, they would die. However, young Master 6 seemed to be discussing something. You guys are fighting because of the woman in the car, right? Bao Pe said lightly. The five of them remained silent. Bao Pe said again, since it's for a woman, then you have to get it. Otherwise, wouldn't this fight be a loss? What does 5 women have to do with you? Pai couldn't help but say. I'm just saying. If we fight today and something happens, and the beauty leaves, wouldn't that be a loss? Haven't you guys thought about it? Bao Pe said indifferently. His meaning was clear. You guys are fighting for a woman. What if the other party didn't appreciate it? Wouldn't that be a waste of effort? Hearing what Bao Pe said, the 5th young master felt that what Bao Pe said made a bit of sense. How about we split it? Pai Ching said with a smirk. That's a good idea. Pai Guanghui raised both his hands in approval. Kong Hong laughed and said, split. Sorry, us 2 brothers are preparing to split it, so the one who wins has the right to split it. Pai didn't speak at this moment. If we really split it, I should be able to get 2 right. In any case, I was the one who brought them here. Sure. Pai Ching didn't oppose. Then, I want to get 2. Pai said gravely. He had already thought of who he wanted, that sexy one, and that twin-tails one big and one small. It was just perfect. Pai Ching laughed and said, 3rd brother, your appetite is not small, you want 2, sure. Who asked you to be the one who found the beauty? You guys are talking too early, there's still me, I might even be able to carry 5 back, ah. Bao Po laughed out loud. Why did he have to come up with such an idea? Of course, I want the beauty too. After all, this kind of beauty is too rare, and taking the risk for it is worth it. The 5 of them had a look of disdain on their faces. I thought that Bao Pe is a gentleman, but I didn't expect that he is this kind of man, truly trash. At this moment, Bao Pe waved his hand, and quite a few imperial guards could be seen surrounding the carriage, preventing the spoils of war from escaping. However, within the carriage, Qing Yutong laughed and said in a low voice, their faces have been revealed. Hee, men. Brett sneered. Other than his honor and Zhu Tian, there isn't anything good about men. Yi Zizi stroked her own hair and said with a slight smile, kill them all later on, it has been a long time since I sucked people. Kill them all, Kai Yun said happily. A mist of blood had already appeared in front of him. The scene that is about to happen will definitely be very exciting. Yu Hua didn't say anything. Killing them all is good. Qing Yutong said lightly, kill, of course we have to kill them, the problem is, how do we kill them for it to be interesting? Everyone nodded their heads. Killing people is easy, the important thing is, how do we kill them to make them feel good? There was a group of people following behind the carriage, and there were at least several tens of thousands of people. All of them were riding on living creatures and following behind the carriage. Even Qi Shuwen and Bao Yu who had just gotten married were the same. Qi Shuwen knew about Kai Yun and Yu Hua, and he sneered in his heart. You bunch of trash, you still don't know after falling into my trap, you bunch of idiots. Husband, do I look good, or do they look good? Bao Yu who was sitting in Yi Hua's embrace suddenly said. Do you still want to compete? No matter who you compete with, you will still look good. To Qi Shu Wen, this was a 3-point question. After hearing what Yihua said, Bao Yu was also very happy. The Bao Yu who was angry just now seemed to be fake. After a long time, everyone finally arrived at Deep Sea Arena. This was a strange place. On the horizon of the seabed, there was a huge crater, and it looked as if it was smashed down by a meteorite. At the center of the crater, there was a platform that was surrounded by red magma, and at the top of the platform, there were spectator seats. Qin Yutang and the others got off the carriage. The surrounding people seemed to be protecting them, but in actuality, they were monitoring them so that they wouldn't let anyone escape. "Hero, why are there so many guards?" Brett asked curiously. Pippi squeezed out a smile and said with a bit of guilt, "That is to protect you all, don't be afraid, no one will be able to bully you all here." However, right now, they were already being bullied. Pippi truly felt uncomfortable in his heart. Brett replied with an "oh," as if he really believed what Pippi said. This caused Pippi to not dare to make eye contact with them. "I saved them, but in the end, I brought them into an even deeper tiger's den. However, there is no other way, for women like these, even if I have to use some methods, it would be worth it." As the people entered the arena, the surrounding seats were all filled up. However, Qin Yutang and the others were still standing. There were guards all around them, and they were not allowed to move even a single step. Chapter 900. This was no different from guarding a prisoner. Everyone noticed this phenomenon. This shouldn't be considered a duel. This was just dividing up the prey. The ownership of these 5 women had been decided. The young masters of the 3 great families of Watertown didn't think they were frivolous. This was because such a woman could only be assigned according to her strength. There was nothing else to say. This was also a normal performance. If it were him, it would be the same. When Qi Shu Wen saw the 5 women, he didn't show an expression of schadenfreude. Instead, he looked at the 6 young masters with schadenfreude. "I'm afraid you don't know this, but you can't afford to offend these 5 women. Back on Earth, who would have dared to touch it? Even if they were in a different place, just look at them. They were not afraid at all." He looked like he was trying to stir up trouble. "You've all been fooled. But I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to watch you guys die. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I feel like I've reached the peak of my life." Qi Shu Wen was so happy that he immediately hugged Bao Yu and kissed her, causing her to be extremely shy. After all, the girls in Water City were very reserved. Kissing in such an occasion was still very embarrassing. There were too many people. The entire Deep Sea Arena was filled to the brim with cheers. They were cheering for the distribution of beauties and cheering for the 6 young masters. "Sigh, what a sin." Yi Zizi sighed softly. Kai Yun propped up his chin and muttered, "Yes, it really is a sin." "Sigh, this is too sinful." Qing Yutang said. "Those who commit sins will never know their sins," Brett said indifferently. Yu Hua smiled and said, "Let's observe a moment of silence for the sinners." The surrounding guards were confused. How could it be them who committed the sin? The ones who committed the sin were them. "You're just dividing it like a prize." The 6 young masters stood in the middle, but they didn't fall. They seemed to be discussing how to compete. But just as the 6 people were discussing, a dragon roar suddenly sounded. This caused the 6 young masters to go into a daze for a moment, and they looked towards one direction. Roar. The dragon's roar rang out again, and a huge pressure caused the seawater to boil. This was the pressure that came from a supreme being. The Kong family's patriarch has arrived. Yeah, only Kong Fei Qing of the Kong family has such amount. It's been a long time since I saw the Kong family's patriarch riding a dragon. Don't tell me he's trying to steal my son's woman. Haha, that's possible. A green divine dragon appeared in the dark seawater. The green light was very obvious. Of course, there was also the figure on the dragon's back. Very quickly, the green divine dragon circled above the deep sea arena. Everyone stood up and greeted respectfully, Patriarch Kong. Father. Kong Hong and Kong Tai also greeted respectfully. Kong Feiqing was an ordinary middle-aged man, but underneath this ordinariness was a genuine supreme martial artist. Someone who could stand on the same level as Broken Meridian Sect and Deity Institution. If not for the green divine dragon beneath him, no one would know that he was a supreme martial artist. However, right at this moment, another strange sound rang out. Kong Feiqing focused his gaze and looked into the darkness. Very quickly, a white figure appeared. It was a horse. That's right, it was a white horse, but it wasn't an ordinary warhorse. It was a prairie warhorse, a prehistoric divine beast. The white flame on the horse's hooves was the best proof. Although the white flame was not as powerful as mystical fire, it was still very ferocious. Just a little bit of it would be fatal. However, it was a two-headed horse. There was a sword-like thing growing out from the middle of the horse's brows. It was emitting traces of electricity. As expected of a prehistoric divine beast. Every part of its body was a treasure. Even the Pai family's patriarch, Pai Liangjun, is here. He also brought out his mount. What are they planning to do? Don't you understand? They are planning to use their flashy mount to seduce those 5 women. That makes sense. I've never seen them take it out before. They hide it like a treasure. Following Pai Liangjun's arrival, everyone stood up and greeted, Patriarch Pai. Father. The 3 brothers of Pai family also greeted respectfully. They realized that their father's dressing today was a bit handsome. Could it be that he came to steal their son's wife? Pai Liangjun was indeed a bit handsome today. As for why he came, no one knew. However, just when everyone was guessing whether Bao family's patriarch Bao Ci would come or not, a loud roar could be heard. Even the dragon and the prairie warhorse seemed very irritable. It was as if they were going to go over and fight. A black shadow appeared in the deep sea, and on the back of the black shadow was a person. There was no light at all, but it was precisely because of this that the black shadow gave off a very oppressive feeling, mysterious with a hint of terror. Gradually, the black shadow appeared in everyone's eyes. A horrifying giant crocodile. Everyone cried out in shock. Their bodies were trembling. If the dragon and the prairie warhorse looked very tall, then the horrifying giant crocodile looked very ferocious. Its huge body was at least 100 feet long. Although its mouth was closed, its fangs were exposed. Every single one of its fangs could be seen. Every single one of its fangs could probably be made into a prehistoric godly item. That's right, this horrifying giant crocodile was the legendary prehistoric beast. Even Supremes didn't dare to provoke it. It should be said that the 2 prehistoric divine beasts and 1 prehistoric beast were all the same. But such an animal was actually tamed, and it was only by a single Supremes. This caused Qing Yutong and the others to be very puzzled. Prehistoric divine beasts and prehistoric beasts were rather ferocious and prideful. It was impossible for ordinary people to tame them. Then, there was only one possibility. These 3 prehistoric divine beasts were left behind by their ancestors, generation after generation. Qing Yutong's guess wasn't wrong. With the strength of only Supremes, it was definitely impossible for them to tame the 3 prehistoric divine beasts. These 3 prehistoric divine beasts all had their own inheritances, and when the time comes, they could still be passed down to the next family. When Yizizi saw these 3 prehistoric divine beasts, she became a bit restless and even swallowed her saliva. Even Kai Yun was the same. After all, the two of them mainly devoured each other. When they saw these three prehistoric divine beasts, it was as if they saw a spicy chicken drumstick. Three Supremes. The three prehistoric divine beasts floated in the sky, and everyone felt pressured. However, everyone was curious. Why did they suddenly appear? Could it be that they really did that with our son? Roar! A dragon roar immediately rang out. This was the roar that the green dragon let out towards the horrifying giant crocodile. The horrifying giant crocodile didn't cower and let out an even more ferocious roar. When that huge mouth of the crocodile opened up, it seemed as if it was going to swallow the entire sky. However, the prairie warhorse was attracted by a person. Chapter 901. She had a pair of red eyes, a horrifying smile, and that little tongue that was licking the corner of her mouth, as if she was very hungry. As if she really wanted to eat me up. Where did this little girl come from, to dare to be arrogant in front of me, Prairie Fire Warhorse? Let me roar once, I will let you all feel what is called the might of a primordial divine beast. Roar roar. Prairie Fire Warhorse also let out a terrifying roar. The dragon and the terrifying giant crocodile seemed to have gotten a shock. Are you fucking sick? Why did you roar without even greeting me? After roaring, Prairie Fire Warhorse felt very satisfied. Afterward, it looked towards Yeezy, as if it was saying, if you look at me again, I will drink you up. Yeezy could be seen sticking out her little tongue, then quickly changed into her original form. This kind of change was very fast. Even Supremes were not able to see it, only Prairie Fire Warhorse was able to see it. Speaking of which, what is Yeezy's original form? I don't think I have seen it before. In the past, when I fought with Yihua, I didn't even reveal my original form. Yihua also seemed to not want Yeezy to reveal her original form, as if Yeezy revealing her original form was very troublesome. From this, it could be seen how abnormal Yeezy's original form was. Prairie Fire Warhorse that saw Yeezy was a bit stupefied. What did I see just now? Is that a ghost? How is this possible? My Prairie Fire Warhorse is actually scared. Just what is that thing? It carries a bloody smell, it wants to eat me up. Prairie Fire Warhorse could be seen gradually retreating, and its gaze was a bit fearful. Pai Liangjun felt the warhorse's intention and was very confused. Why did it get scared? Wasn't it very ferocious just now, roaring crazily? The dragon and the terrifying giant crocodile looked towards Prairie Fire Warhorse and were also confused, as if they were asking, is there a hole in your brain? Why are you retreating? Did you see a ghost? If Prairie Fire Warhorse could speak, it would definitely shout out, I saw a ghost just now, and it was a big red ghost. Pai Liangjun hurriedly comforted Prairie Fire Warhorse, but no matter how he comforted it, Prairie Fire Warhorse was still very scared. In Kong Feiqing and Bao Xi's eyes, Prairie Fire Warhorse was scared silly by its own mount. Of House Pai, your warhorse seems to be a bit scared. Kong Feiqing gently stroked his dragon whiskers and smiled. Look at my divine dragon. Does the gaze of a king make you very afraid? Are you trembling? Bao Xi stood on the crocodile's head and laughed. House Leader Pai, did you forget to feed it? At this moment, Pai Liangjun felt like he had lost all face. His prairie blazing warhorse was fine just now. Why did it suddenly become like this? Pai Liangjun pressed his hands on the two horses' heads, and his palms emitted a faint glow. Only then did the Prairie Fire Warhorse calm down a bit, and it wasn't that afraid anymore. However, the two pairs of eyes still didn't dare to look at those 5 women. Seeing that the Prairie Flame Warhorse had actually stabilized, Bao Xi and Kong Feiqing were slightly disappointed because they did not see Pai Liangjun make a fool of himself. But that was about it. Looks like we're in trouble today, Bao Xi said, looking at his son and the other 5. It is indeed a little troublesome. Kong Feiqing also looked at his 2 sons. Why did they come here for no reason? What a troublesome fellow. If there's really no other way, ask them to leave first. Pai Liangjun rode over slowly on his prairie fire warhorse. Bao Ci said in a low voice, if we tell them to leave now, they'll think we're doing something here. Ask them to hurry up and finish the fight, then scram. That's the only way. Kong Feiqing said in a low voice, and his gaze looked towards the lava, seemingly carrying some sort of excitement. The 6 young masters who were standing not far away from the lava all felt a bit unnatural. Just what is the reason for all of our fathers to come here? I have no idea at all, and all of them came out on their mounts. Just what is the reason for all of us to come here? Are they here to stop us? But looking at their actions, it doesn't seem like it. Right at this moment, Bao Ci shouted out, Bao Pe, since you all have decided to have a proper fight, then hurry up. What are you all standing there for? Bao Ci thought that his father was going to stop them, and didn't expect that it would be like this. Father. Qing Yutong pouted her mouth, seems like he isn't simple. That's right, there's something even more delicious. Yi Zizi pursed her small lips. True, there's a good show to watch, Kai Yun clapped his hands and said, giving off a feeling as if he didn't know anything, the naive and romantic type. Brett let out a light sigh. I really want this farce to end quickly so that I can bring Zhu Tian back and have fun. Every time I bring Zhu Tian to take a bath, Zhu Tian would reveal a look of despair. This is simply too interesting. I didn't expect that Zhu Tian would have such a cute side to him. Yu Hua is still fine, Lai Gu is at home, and there are still the other 3 looking after her. Nothing will happen. In the arena, the winner of the first match had already been decided. That was Bao Pe versus Pai Pai. When the winner of the match was decided, the entire arena cheered. At this moment, Bao Ci smiled and said, Clan head Pai, I wonder if your 3rd brother will be able to fight against my son. Bao Ci clearly had the intention of teasing Bao Pe. Bao Pe's strength had reached rank 8 Dozun, while the other 5 were only rank 2 or 3. Their strength was still considered close, but compared to Bao Pe, they were still lacking. Furthermore, Pai Pai was only a rank 2 Dozun. How could he be a match for a rank 8 Dozun? Hee, clan head Bao, why don't you ask your son-in-law to come out and fight? I heard that your son-in-law made a fool out of himself. Pai Liangjun also knew how to say a few words of mockery. In the past, your Bao family didn't have anything to use against you, but now, you have. You got the worst son-in-law in history. I really don't know what you were thinking. Bao Ci didn't know what to say for a moment. This son-in-law is like a thorn in my heart. It doesn't hurt if it's on my chest, but my face hurts. But Yu likes it, what can you say? Even if you don't like it, you have to accept it. After all, I love my daughter dearly. Seeing that Bao Ci didn't say anything, Pai Liangjun felt that he had finally turned the tables. Kong Feiqing didn't say anything at the side, but he was thinking about what to do next. The alliance was only temporary. When the time comes, if they were to fall out, it would be faster than anyone else. Originally, I thought that today was a good day, and I thought that the wedding would attract people's attention. Who knew that they actually came here? The 3 of them directly looked at the culprit. The first sentence that appeared in their mind was, Femme fatale. If it wasn't because my son saw it first, I would also have the heart to go down and compete. After all, this kind of woman is indeed interesting. The older one is sexy and mature, while the younger one has an even more different kind of flavor, as if it is very pleasurable. As long as I grab the ponytail, I can go crazy. Interesting enough. The 3 of them are really terrible old men, they are really bad. Qing Yutong pouted her mouth. They are really shameless, staring at me fiercely. Even your son isn't so unrestrained. Chapter 902. Yu Hua and Brett nodded their heads. They are indeed very bad, they are even worse than their son. Humph, Yi Yezi snorted. She decided to teach them a lesson later. Who do you guys think will win? Let's start the match, Qin Yutong laughed lightly. It should be that Bao Pe, his strength seems to be slightly stronger. Yu Hua said softly. The difference was right there, so it was easy to tell. Yu Hua's words obtained the agreement of the 5 women. If the difference in strength was close, then it would be hard to tell. But the distance between the two of them was a bit far, so it was not hard to tell. Even Pai Pai knew this, the difference between him and Bao Po was right there, but no matter what, he still had to try his best. After all, there were so many people watching, it was fine to lose face in front of his brothers, but he definitely could not lose face in front of his father. After all, if he lost face today, he would become the joke of the entire Water City. Even if he lost face today, he had to lose with honor. Pai Pai, you are not my opponent, if you surrender, you will be spared from the pain of your flesh. Bao Pe did not even take out his weapon, it could be seen how much he looked down on Pai Pai. In Bao Po's heart, he did not need to use his weapon to win against Pai Pai. It was the same even if he was against the other 4, if the 5 of them came together, he would have to use his weapon. But right now, there was really no need for that. Pai Pai took out his sword, it was that sword that was smeared with poison. To be able to poison Yang Haoyan, that kind of Jizun, it could be seen how vicious the poison on the sword was. This poison was refined from the most poisonous creature in the underwater world, it was very precious. So if Pai Pai wanted to win now, he had to use his sword to stab. Even if it was just for a moment. Bao Po was very strong, this poison might not be able to make him stay in a stalemate for a long time, but even if it was just for a few seconds, he still had a chance to win. This was Pai Pai's strategy. Use your weapon. Pai Pai shouted in a low voice. Bao Po smiled slightly and said, I don't need a weapon to deal with you. Such hurtful words, but Bao Po still said it. This made Pai Pai very angry. As long as you let my sword touch you, I will make you pay the price. Bao Yu, who was sitting on the audience seat, asked softly, Husband, do you think Big Brother will win? Of course, Big Brother is a rank 8 Dozun. Dealing with a rank 2 Dozun is just a matter of waving his hand. Qi Shuwen also thought this way. There was no suspense unless Pai Pai had purposely suppressed his strength and chose to erupt at this moment. If he was only a rank 2 Dozun, he would definitely lose today. Yes, I think so too. Her brother was so strong, and her father was also so strong. When her husband grew up, he would also be very strong. She was truly blessed. As the fight between the two began, the excited audience stood up and shouted. The blue veins on their necks looked as if they were about to burst. It was a shocking sight. Bao Pe, since you underestimated me, I will make you pay the price. Pai Pai angrily shouted as he brandished the sword in his hand in a strange and unpredictable manner. Bao Pe said indifferently, to be honest, I don't think that's necessary. At the very least, I should give you some leeway. Watch my sword. Leather suddenly stabbed out with his sword, and the entire deep-sea arena was illuminated by the sword light. With one look, one could tell that this sword was not an ordinary item. Not bad, you've improved, but you're still too far away. Bao Po's voice came from behind Pai Pai. Pai Pai's expression darkened as he instantly felt a loud sound coming from his back. His body immediately flew out and smashed into a stone pillar beside him. Boom, boom, boom. The huge stone pillar suddenly collapsed and fell into the magma, instantly disappearing without a trace. The audience was silent. These two had just started fighting, and Pai Pai was already at a disadvantage. He was even sent flying with a kick. It felt good to ruin the scene. It felt good in any way. Of course, it was by shouting loudly. The entire deep-sea arena was filled with loud cheers. Even Kai Yun shouted excitedly. This kind of fight was suitable for him. He really wanted to go up and play with them. Kai Yun was referring to the three old men in the air and not anyone else. House Leader Pai, looks like it's still not enough. Please forgive me. Bao Ci began to show off. His son was really proud. Pai Liang Jun said in a deep voice, "Humph. The difference in strength is right there, what's there to be happy about? Strength is also obtained through cultivation. My pu'er is extremely hard-working. As for those two sons of yours, if they cultivated like my pu'er, how could they be so weak right now?" Bao Ci boasted once more. His sons were just tools for him to brag about his own abilities. Humph. Pai Liang Jun snorted and didn't say anything. How could he not know what his two sons were like? So embarrassing. Kong Fei Qin didn't say anything because if he did, the result would be the same. His two sons weren't his match either. In the arena, Pai Pai steadied himself and stared at Bao Pe. Bao Pe stood with his hands behind his back and looked mysterious. Pai Pai, admit defeat. This is the best result for you. Don't even think about it. Pai Pai shouted angrily. It was absolutely impossible for him to admit defeat. Heaven Sealing Ghost Chart, Black Coffin. Pai Pai formed a seal with both hands and a huge amount of battle energy spread out from his body. Bao Pe smiled as he looked at Pai Pai. However, at this moment, a black shadow appeared around Bao Pe and sealed him. With the speed of Pai Pai's hand seals, the black shadow quickly formed and sealed Bao Pe in an instant. A huge coffin floated in the air, forming a strange scene. Your son is not bad. He even learned the black coffin. Bao Ci was a little surprised. This black coffin could only be controlled by a 5th grade dozun. Otherwise, it wouldn't even be formed. Nonsense. Do you think my son is playing around? Pai Liang Jun said with disdain. Actually, he was also surprised. When did his third brother learn this move? It was very illogical. The 4 people watching from the side felt the same. Third brother, not bad. You even managed to create a black coffin. You hit it very well. Pai Guanghui said softly, his eyes filled with surprise. Third brother is very shrewd. It's not like you don't know. Pai Ching said indifferently. The 2 Kong brothers didn't say anything. If they were the ones on the arena, they would probably lose. When did this Pai Pai refine a black coffin? It was too much to criticize. Qi Shuwen looked at the black coffin with curiosity. He had long heard that Water Town's Heaven Sealing Ghost Chart was powerful. Seeing it today, it was indeed worthy of its reputation. When the time comes, he could also learn this Heaven Sealing Ghost Chart. After all, this chart was only provided to the 3 great clans. This was also one of the reasons why he wanted to become a son-in-law. The Heaven Sealing Ghost Chart was really fascinating. Paw. Suddenly, a clear sound rang out. A finger appeared on the black coffin and pierced through it. Chapter 903. This clear and crisp sound seemed to stab into everyone's heart. Everyone knew very well what this black coffin represented. But now, it had been pierced by a finger. How was this possible? Pai Pai, I really didn't expect that you even managed to successfully cultivate the black coffin, and you even used the strength of a 2nd rank. What a pity, this black coffin can only unleash 20% of its strength, you are just drawing a calabash, that's all. After Bao Po's words stopped, Bao Pe could be seen using one of his hands to slap the black coffin, and the black coffin turned into black stars and disappeared. Pai Pai's heart sank. He did not expect that it would still not work. He had forcibly released the black coffin, but it had not reached that level of power. Just as Bao Pe had said, it was just a drawing of a gourd. But even if it was just a drawing, Bao Po was actually quite surprised. Do you think you can draw this black coffin just like that? If you don't have the least bit of talent, how can you do such a thing? Leather's potential was much greater than that of his two brothers. At this moment, Bao Ci smiled and said, "What a pity, this black coffin still can't hurt my Pierre." Hee, can your lousy son release the black coffin at the second grade? Pai Liangjun emphasized the word lousy. Just like your lousy son. Son. At this time, Kong Feiqing said something fair. Actually, Pai being able to unleash a move like black coffin at the second level already means that he has a lot of potential. House leader Pai, please take good care of him. He'll become someone great in the future. Pai Liangjun also smiled and said, the two young masters of clan head Kong are not bad either. Humph. Bao Ci snorted. Not bad my ass. The five women also felt sorry for Pippi. In fact, they felt that Pippi was a good person. At least he helped them. Although he couldn't resist the temptation in the end and did something bad, he was instigated by someone else. Therefore, the five women still hoped that Leather could win. After all, it was meaningless to stand up in a one-sided battle. But from the looks of it, this Bao Po was even more powerful. If Pai didn't have a trump card, he would be in danger. At this moment, Bao Po said lightly, Pai, just admit defeat. There won't be any results if you keep fighting like this. Bullsh*T. Stubborn fool. Then let me show you what a real black coffin is. After saying that, Bao Po quickly formed a black void around Pai. His speed was even faster than Pai's. Heavenly Sealing Ghost Chart, Black Coffin. Bao Po angrily shouted, completing the final hand seal. Looking at Bao Po's black coffin, it gave off a thick deathly aura. Whether it was color or luster, it was definitely more amazing than the black coffin from before. Even their size had to be bigger. Hurry up and tell your son to admit defeat. Otherwise, he's going to die. Kong Feiqing hurriedly said. This black coffin was not a joke. If it was sealed for too long, it would cause death. Pai Liangjun clenched his fists tightly. Asking his son to admit defeat. Wouldn't that be asking the entire House Pai to surrender? Bao Ci smiled but did not say anything. Beg me then. If you beg me, I will release your son. Looking at the lifeless black coffin, Pai Liangjun's face darkened. Third bro. Fight for your father's honor. The entire scene quieted down. Everyone stared at the floating coffin, wondering if House Pai's third brother would be able to escape. If he broke free, it would be a slap to his face. If he couldn't break free, then House Pai would lose face today. Although Pai Ching and Pai Guanghui were separated from their third brother, at this moment, they still revealed a worried expression. After all, they were brothers. It was fine if they quarreled internally, but when they were outside, they had to be united against external enemies. Third bro. Do your best. The two brothers shouted in their hearts. Qing Yutong was also anxious. Didn't you know how to use your brain? You even kneeled down to Yang Haoyan before, now you should also kneel down and listen to your father. As time passed, everyone sighed. This Pai would rather die than surrender. As expected, he is a man. Of course, Bao Po did not want to kill Pai, after all, it was not good. But just now, his father told him not to break free, so he could only wait. Bao Ci silently waited for Pai Liangjun to come and beg for mercy. Pai Liangjun was already running out of patience. The more time passed, the more dangerous his third brother would be. I can't wait any longer. Pai Liangjun looked towards Bao Ci. Bao Ci did not even look at him and pretended to look at the scene. However, Pai Liangjun's hands began to slowly raise, as if he wanted to cup his hands, but when his hands were raised in mid-air, a voice rang out. This caused Pai Liangjuan's heart to sink. This also caused Bao Xi to be shocked. How is this possible? Heavenly Ceiling Ghost Chart, Anita. A strange voice rang out from within the black coffin. This caused everyone's expression to change. Even the three old men were the same, and in their minds, the word, lunatic appeared. Even if you beat Bao Pe to death, this Pai actually dared to use Anita. This is something that only a 9th rank Do Zun can release. This fellow has surpassed his rank again. Does he not know the price of using Anita? Could it be that you have a grudge against me for killing your father? Or is it because you stole my wife? You must be sick. Pai Qing and Pai Guanghui had stupefied expressions on their faces. Third brother's performance today simply caused everyone to be dumbstruck, unimaginable. Looking at the Kong brothers at the side, they were the same as well. Do you really have a grudge against Bao Po for you to actually use Anita? My God, you are truly crazy. This move seems to be very powerful. Kai Yun suddenly laughed and said. He could feel that the aura within the black coffin was gradually rising, and it was very powerful. Yi Zizi also withdrew her smile and said in a low voice, indeed, this whatever Anita is very powerful. Brett's gaze gradually sunk. This kind of skill is very powerful, and it can even be compared with my own. This water city is really a pleasant surprise. Prehistoric divine beast, prehistoric ferocious beast, Tian class skill, it is still quite powerful. We have to reevaluate the strength of this water city. Qing Yutong said in a deep voice. If even a Pai could use Anita, then what kind of situation would it be like for 3 Jizun to use Anita? Furthermore, under the situation of using Anita, would it still be possible to superimpose other skills? At this moment, Qi Shuwen asked curiously, Sharky, does this Anita have any side effects? Abeo Yu nodded his head, Heavenly Ceiling Ghost Chart, Anita. It requires a 9th rank Do Zun to activate. Once this skill is activated, one's strength will rise exponentially. I have never seen it that strong. This is the first time I have seen someone use Anita, and the side effect is to drop 1 rank. Now, Pai is a 2nd rank Do Zun. After using it, he will be a 1st rank Do Zun. Speaking until this point, Abeo Yu sighed softly, this Pai is really stupid. He wants to save face and suffer. It is obvious that he cannot defeat my brother, yet he insists on using Anita to fight my brother. Qi Shuwen knocked Abeo Yu's pink forehead, are you stupid? He also wants to force your brother to use Anita, intending to injure both sides. Chapter 904. Qi Shuwen smiled. What was there to be shameless about? What he did just now was shameless. This was a fight, after all. It was a competition of a man's dignity. It could only be said that House Pai's 3rd son wanted his face a lot, but he was suffering. Winning would bring glory to his face, but his strength would drop by 1 level. Was it really worth it? Maybe to Qi Shuwen, it wasn't worth it, but to Pai, this represented the house master's dignity, and also his own glory. Even if he had to sacrifice his life, he wouldn't hesitate. If a person didn't have faith, he would be no different from a salted fish. This was the first time Pai used Anita in the black coffin. He felt like his entire body was filled with strength. As his strength increased, Pai felt like he could even smash the sky. This was a feeling he had never felt before. It was like he had control over everything. As for how strong he was, Pai didn't feel it anymore. He just felt like he could kill this trash Bao Pe now. Suddenly, Pai raised the sword in his hand, raised it up high, and then slashed down. A crescent-shaped black light emitted from the sword. The black coffin couldn't withstand it at all and instantly disintegrated. Seeing such a scene, everyone was dumbfounded. The leather in the black coffin had actually directly cut open the black coffin. What kind of strength did he need? Bao Po was shocked as well. Especially that terrifying black sword energy, it was filled with a strange aura. At this moment, Bao Po had no choice but to take out his weapon. It was also a long sword. When the long sword flashed, a majestic aura suddenly swept out. The body of the sword was emitting specks of starlight. It looked very ordinary, but when it first appeared, it was obvious. This was a prehistoric godly weapon. 7 ministers. Although it was a prehistoric godly weapon, it was still divided into different grades. After all, not every prehistoric godly weapon that was created was godly. According to this standard, the sword in Bao Po's hand was a 3rd-grade prehistoric godly weapon. But even the worst prehistoric godly weapon was still a godly weapon that people would fight over. After all, it was too rare. When the 7 ministers appeared, Qing Yutang and the others were slightly dazed. I didn't expect that there would even be a prehistoric godly weapon, Brett said indifferently, but he didn't put it in his eyes at all because it was trash. Qing Yutang smiled. It is indeed a bit surprising. The guards standing around had a puzzled look on their faces. Were these 5 women crazy? It seemed that she had already hinted at her own outcome. It was a pity that such a beautiful woman had turned into a lunatic. Pai Liangjun lost his composure and said in a deep voice, "You even gave me the great desolate era's divine weapon, break. Son. So what? If I didn't give my son to you, who would?" Bao Ci said calmly. "Are you guys stupid? Do you dare to give your son a primordial divine weapon? You can't bear to part with it, can you?" At this moment, Kong Feiqing spoke in a faint voice, "Even with a chaos divine weapon, it is unlikely that your broken son can win. This leather likely possesses the strength of a peak dozun." Bao Ci snorted lightly. "So what? This isn't his true strength. He will still suffer from the backlash. The gains do not make up for the losses. As for my pu'er, with the help of the ancient divine weapon, he can still win." Hee hee. Pai Liangjun chuckled. Dog. Pai Liangjun took a deep breath as he stared at OL3. Now that he had used Selfless, there was no turning back. Fight hard for House Pai. Qi Shuwen also looked at the 7 ministers with envy. This chaos divine weapon really made people envious. It wasn't just Qi Shuwen who envied it, everyone was envious. This was a chaos divine weapon, holding it in one's hand was a symbol of strength. It was said that a powerless person could kill a Do Wang with a chaos divine weapon. Yu, do you also have a chaos divine weapon? Qi Shuwen asked curiously. If his son had one, then his most beloved daughter should have one too. Yu didn't hide it and said softly, "I do, but I have no use for it." "I'll give it to you, okay?" Qi Shuwen was overjoyed. He almost said yes, but he quickly stopped. "How can that be? This is your thing. You have to take good care of it." Qi Shuwen said in a deep voice as if he didn't want it. "Husband, we are husband and wife. Isn't my thing yours? I don't need it anyway. It's better for you to use it." Yu said happily. Qi Shuwen said sternly, "Am I that kind of person? Don't say such things again. Otherwise, I will get angry." Although he said that, he was thinking in his heart, "If you say a few more words, I will reluctantly agree." Hurry up, Moto, okay then, husband, you have to work hard in the future." Qi Shuwen was speechless. Qi Shuwen wanted to slap himself. Who asked you to act cool? Now, he didn't want a chaos divine weapon that was delivered to his door. He was such an idiot. Of course, I have to rely on my own strength. Qi Shuwen clenched his fists and said. He was a man who worked hard. Looking at Qi Shuwen's hard work, Yu Yu was very happy. His fighting spirit was not bad. So she shyly kissed him and immediately hid in Qi Shuwen's chest, not daring to look at him. Qi Shuwen wanted to die. He could have gotten a Chaos Divine weapon, but he got a kiss in exchange. What a loss. Bao Pe, who took out the Chaos Divine weapon, had his confidence greatly boosted. Looking at the crescent of black light that was coming towards him, Bao Pe immediately slashed out with his sword. As expected of a Chaos Divine weapon, the crescent of black light disappeared without a trace, as if the crescent of black light had never appeared in the first place. Bao Pe had a smile of disdain on his face, seemingly feeling that Pai Pai was still unable to withstand a single blow. Following the dissipation of the black coffin, Pai Pai's figure finally appeared. Everyone was shocked by Pai Pai's outfit. Leather's silver armor had turned black. Even the blade of the sword had turned black. However, on top of the black armor, there seemed to be some kind of black flame burning, causing everyone to shiver. Looking at Pai Pai's appearance, Bao Po's mind was filled with question marks. Is this the appearance of an Ata? Kai Yin cried out in surprise, so handsome, indeed very handsome. Even Yu Hua nodded her head. This proved that Pai Pai was indeed very handsome. This was the truth. Pai Pai was just like a dark character, filled with mystery and killing intent. Especially the black flame that was emitting from his body, it added a kind of oppressive atmosphere. An Ata looks like this. Even Kong Feiqing was puzzled. Pai Liang Jun didn't know either. In actuality, Bao Pe didn't know either. After all, who would use an Ata for fun? Unless it was when one's life was in danger, and the peace in Water City had already lasted for a very long time, therefore, no one would use an Ata. Being able to break open my black coffin, and even being able to force me to take out my 7 ministers, you can already be considered to have one. Bao politely waved the 7 ministers in his hand, and a terrifying aura rippled out. Chapter 905. Leather looked at Bao Pe and said faintly, I don't know who was the one who said that he wouldn't use a weapon, but right now, he actually used a weapon. Hee. Bao Po's face stiffened as if he had been slapped in the face. That's also my fault. I forced you to use nothing, so I had no choice but to use my weapon. The meaning of Bao Po's words was very clear. You were forced by me, so you are a defeated opponent. Moreover, you used cheating methods to increase your strength. Moreover, even if you use selfless, you still won't be a match for me. It's just a matter of a light slash. Bao Pe continued. He even waved the 7 ministers in his hand, releasing bits of starlight. Pippi chuckled and said, You seem to have misunderstood something. It was just a light strike. Just as he finished speaking, Pai Pai's body seemed to have been frozen in place, not moving an inch. Bao Po was startled, and a sense of danger appeared behind him. With a backhand slash. Puff! The tips of the 2 swords came into contact with each other, instantly stirring up a terrifying wave of air. Pai Pai was now very clear of his advantage. He circulated his Do Qi with all his might and a wave of black Do Qi erupted from his body. Bao Po also knew his opponent's intention. A battle of battle Qi. Ha! Bao Po furiously shouted and white Do Qi spread out from his body. A black and a white Do Qi immediately formed, creating a huge whirlpool. That terrifying atmosphere infected everyone. It was so terrifying. Leather relied on his improved strength. As for Bao Pe, he relied on the primordial divine artifact in his hand. The 2 of them were actually equally matched. From this, one could see the importance of possessing a great desolate era divine weapon. Pai Pai, I told you, you are not my opponent. Bao Pe still had the time to say that, indicating that his foundation was really strong. Bao Pe, don't underestimate me. Pai Pai angrily shouted, the black light on his body flourished, the majestic aura became even more abnormal. There was still a difference between the peak of the Dozun class and a grade 8 Dozun. Moreover, the difference was not just a little big. After all, at this level, every grade was like a ravine. If not for the primordial divine weapon, Bao Po would have been defeated long ago. The blackened skin was not to be underestimated. Beads of sweat appeared on Bao Po's forehead. This Anata was actually so abnormal. This leather was probably half a step into the ranks of supreme beings. They were commonly known as pseudo-supremes. The black Dochi was getting stronger and stronger, while the white Dochi was getting smaller and smaller. It was not as dazzling as it was at the beginning. Faced with such a situation, the audience was also dumbfounded. He didn't think that House Pai's third brother would be able to beat Bao Po. Although he used a martial art, it was still very strong. It was rare to see someone stronger than him. That's rubbish. My son can't take it anymore. Pai Liangjun was very happy now. He could finally give this old fart a blow. Bao Si's chest heaved up and down. It seemed like he was in a bad mood. He had underestimated the power of Anata. Kong Feiqing said lightly, now if your son wants to win, I'm afraid he can only use Anata. Bao Si was speechless. If Her's prehistoric artifact was a bit better, even if it was just a bit better, he would have definitely won this time. However, the grade of this prehistoric artifact was a bit inferior, and that leather weapon of Her's wasn't bad either. Adding on the fact that Her's strength was doubled, was actually able to restrain therefore, what Kong Feiqing said wasn't unreasonable. If didn't use an Anata, he would probably lose. The look in Bao Po's eyes became more and more horrified. The strength of the opponent was still growing, as if it could never be stopped. Was this the power of Anata? It is very powerful. Bao Po. It is still not too late for you to admit defeat now, so that you don't have to suffer. Pai Pi used the same words to counterattack Bao Po. Don't think that just because you are powerful that no one can defeat you. I, Pai Pi, am one of them. Bao Po's entire body felt unwell. Perhaps it was because he was angered by Pai Po's words, his aura immediately became chaotic. Sensing that Bao Po was becoming unstable, Pai Pi shouted out furiously, and his strength grew once again. The black Duki instantly swallowed the white Duki. A huge wave was set off in the surroundings, and that terrifying pressure caused everyone to feel like vomiting. That rubbish of yours lost. Seeing this scene, Pai Liangjun laughed loudly and said, what rubbish? Son, count yourself as a hammer. Bao Si said faintly, it is still too early to say right now. Right now, Bao Po was in a bit of a sorry state. He was gasping for breath while holding on to Qiqing. Meanwhile, Pai Pi held onto his sword and slowly walked towards Bao Po. Pai Pi seemed to be asking, where is your aura? Didn't you want to defeat me? Didn't you want to make a fool of me? Pai Pi, you have really made me look at you in a different light. Bao Po straightened his back and coldly looked at Pai Pi. If he did not have killing intent at the start, then he did now. To actually make him lose face in front of so many people. His father was still watching from above, and that trashy brother-in-law was probably still laughing in his heart. Unable to defeat him even with an ancient divine weapon, what a noob. Hee, Bao Po, I will give you one chance. If you admit defeat now, I will spare your life. Pai Pi said indifferently. Using the same words, he was also telling Bao Po not to underestimate anyone. Of course, only when he was in a desperate situation would he be able to unleash his great strength. Bao Po laughed loudly, you want me to admit defeat? Pai Pi, you are probably dreaming. Is that so? Don't you feel that your body is a little strange? Pipe suddenly asked. Bao Po's expression froze. He indeed felt that his body was a little stiff. You poisoned me. A wound appeared on Bao Po's right shoulder. Although it was not deep, it still cut him. Pipe waved the blade in his hand, but it was not as strange as Yang Haotian. He licked it. Indeed, I poisoned you a little. It is enough to make you hesitate for a moment. So, Bao Pa, this time you will lose for sure. After saying that, Pipe placed his sword horizontally in front of his chest. The entire black sword floated in the air. Green jade killing intent. Pipe spread his arms, and the sword in front of his chest immediately flew to the top of Pai Po's head, turning into more than 10 flashing black swords. The tips of the swords were aimed at Bao Pa. But Bao Pa still seemed to be struggling. His face gradually revealed fear. Pai Pa. You dare. Bao Pa, this is the deep sea arena. Leave it to fate. Pai Pa said in a low voice. The sharp sword above his head was already itching to pierce through his opponent's chest, emitting a strange black light. Killing intent appear. Pai Pa did not seem to give Bao Pa the slightest chance. With an angry shout, more than 10 sharp swords with a terrifying aura attacked. Facing such a situation, everyone was a little dumbfounded. This did not seem like a normal martial arts competition. This was simply a slaughter. What kind of deep hatred do you have? Is there a need to do this? Pai Liangjun, you shameless bastard. Not only did you smear poison on your sword, you actually told your son to smear poison. Bao Ci immediately scolded. All is fair in war. Don't you understand? Pai Liangjun said disdainfully. So what if he smeared poison? Wasn't this very normal? After saying that, Pai Liangjun did not speak anymore. He wanted to see how long Bao Ci could wait. Chapter 906. Bao Ci seemed to have understood what Pai Liangjun meant. Pai Liangjun wanted Bao Ci to apologize to Bao Ci. As expected, he is shameless. However, Bao Ci believed in his son. After all, he knew his son's capabilities. This kind of situation is indeed very troublesome, but my son should be able to handle it. He definitely can. Bao Pa, who was in a stiff state, looked at the tens of swords that were flying towards him, and he was making a decision in his mind. In 0.1 seconds, Bao Pa had already made up his mind, and he shouted out angrily, Heavenly Sealing Ghost Chart, Anata. After Bao Pa said that, everyone was shocked once again. They didn't expect that even Bao Pa would use Anata. Are the two of you crazy? Is there a need to fight like this? Isn't this a lose-lose situation? After all, Bao Pa was currently a rank 8 Dozun. After using Anata, he would become a rank 7 Dozun, and going from rank 7 to rank 8 was not as simple as going from rank 1 to rank 2. The experience value required was quite a lot. Therefore, Bao Pa suffered even more, but what else could he do? He was already forced into a desperate situation. If he didn't use Anata, he would definitely be heavily injured. If he did that, he would definitely be heavily injured. There was no way he could win. The two of you are crazy. Kong Feiqing laughed lightly. To actually use Anata as a side dish, is there a need for this? We are all from Water City, how are we going to meet in the future? Right now, Bao Ci's expression was very ugly. He felt that it was not worth it for Pa to use Anata, and that Pai Liangjun was only rank 2, even if it dropped to rank 1, it would still be acceptable, and it would be easy for him to cultivate again. But my son, this damned Pai Liangjun, he is definitely the one who instigated my son to do this. Bastard! Yi Zizi sighed lightly. I originally thought that I would be able to make a comeback, but I didn't expect that. I still didn't succeed. That might not be the case, everyone has to have hope. If there is no hope, what difference is there between a person and a salted fish? Kai Yun smiled sweetly, giving off a very pure feeling, as if he could easily swindle someone. Qin Yutong and Brett smiled bitterly and shook their heads. Salted fish is his honor's catchphrase, calling others salted fish for no reason. Even if they make a comeback, they will still be salted fish. Pai Ching and the others who were watching the battle at the side were also extremely shocked. This battle seemed to have already surpassed their imagination. This third brother of his was simply too good at hiding, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. He actually forced Bao Pe to use an ita. This was already considered a win, there was nothing more to say. Kong Hong and Kong Tai's expressions sank as they realized the gap between them and the others. They decided to cultivate properly in the future and try to catch up. If the others could force Bao Pe to use an ita, they had to be ruthless. Seeing that Bao Pe had also used the selfless body, the corners of Leather's mouth curled up, finally unable to hold back. In that case, even if he lost this time, it would be a glorious defeat. He had forced him to take out the Chaos Divine Weapon and had even forced him to use the Selfless Divine Weapon. It was a huge gain for him, and a huge loss for him. Bao Pe used Selfless and a huge vortex surged out from his body. The dozen or so black blades didn't even manage to pierce through the vortex before they were scattered. It was clear how terrifying this vortex was. However, this was nothing. Bao Pe, who was in the whirlpool, was emitting a frightening aura. He, who was originally a grade 8 Dozun, had instantly reached the peak of the Dozun class. His strength was still continuously rising. Kong Fei Ching said in a deep voice, I'm afraid that he will reach Shizun. Pai Liangjun did not speak. Third brother had used the selfless body, and his strength was already half a Shizun. As for the grade 8 Bao Pe, his strength would definitely break through the Dozun class and reach the ranks of Shizun. Third brother would definitely not be able to defeat Bao Pe, but he wouldn't lose out either. Bao Ci did not speak now. He seemed to have shut himself up because even if his son won, it would still be a huge loss. Bang! A deep sound resounded through the bottom of the sea. The huge vortex instantly disappeared, and the person who appeared in front of everyone was still Bao Pe. However, his entire body had turned black, and he was exactly the same as Leather. The 7 ministers that were originally flashing with the brilliance of stars had also turned black, and he looked extremely terrifying. The main point was, the current Bao Pe did not emit any aura at all, and he was just like an ordinary person. Shizun. Qin Yutong smiled slightly. That's right, this Qi method is too awesome. Even Kai Yun said that this Qi method was awesome, then it was definitely awesome. Brett did not refute. He even nodded his head. This Qi method was indeed awesome. The guards beside them basically did not hear what they were talking about, as everyone's attention was attracted by Bao Pe who was in the middle of the battlefield. Qi Shu Win was the same as well. This Qi method is practically an instant Jizun. This kind of Qi method is simply too abnormal. Big Brother is truly formidable. Although Bao Yuyu said that, she was still very worried in her heart. Qi Shu Win did not speak. This kind of high-intensity showdown caused him to see a lot of things, and a lot of helplessness. Just like the North and South martial arts competition back then, I could only sit at the side and watch, and it was no different from now. The showdown between experts seemed to have nothing to do with me, and I also seemed to be unable to interfere in this kind of showdown. I will forever be a bystander. I have been like this since the very beginning. Then why did the heavens give me a system? Then don't give it to me. You want me to give it to an ordinary person. Since you gave me hope, you want to destroy my hope. I, Qi Shu Win, do not want to be a side character. Qi Shu Win, am fated to be the main character. On the battlefield, Leather's aura was still as strong as before, and Bao Po appeared to be very at ease. This is Shizun. He is no different from an ordinary person. Bao Po also felt his own strength, as if he could tear the sky apart. This kind of feeling is indescribable, very satisfying. So this is how Jizun feels. I have finally experienced it today. It will also be helpful for my future cultivation. It can be considered as a great fortune and misfortune. This leather in front of me, I can destroy him with a single finger. Bao Po, you still used an ata. Leather said indifferently, from that posture, it seems like he doesn't want to fight anymore. Bao Po said in a low voice, Leather, it's all because you forced me, so you have to pay the price. After saying that, he slashed out with his sword. Only to see a deathly black light attack towards Leather. That terrifying pressure is definitely not something that Leather can block. Jizun and half a Jizun, the difference is like heaven and earth. But Leather doesn't believe this. The sword in his hand also emitted a black light. Bang! The entire sea region trembled, the magma below started to boil. This caused the three old men to frown. A terrifying wave of air rushed towards the spectator stands. Bao Ci waved his hand, a barrier immediately cut off this wave of air, to prevent people from getting hurt. Bao Po's figure stood steadily, but Leather's body actually flew backwards, smashing into a seamount, the entire seamount shattering. That clash of sword energy just now was simply a merciless suppression. Without any suspense, Leather was sent flying by the sword. He is probably heavily injured now. Everyone's jaws dropped slightly. This is a Jizun. A powerful Jizun. Chapter 907. Sigh, Qing Yutong let out a light sigh. It's over. It's over. Yu Hua muttered, there's no chance of a comeback in this kind of situation. Right now, although Bao Ci was not happy, he had no other choice. Therefore, he still had to say what should be said. Forcing my pet to flip out, sigh. When Pai Liangjun saw that Bao Pi used an ata, he more or less knew the result, so he didn't want to say anything. Right now, it's fine for third brother to admit defeat, there's no need to continue fighting, he has already proven himself. However, Pai originally thought so too, but now, he didn't think so anymore. A pitch-black figure could be seen scuttling out from the ruins and appearing not far away from Bao Po. The black armor on Pai's body was broken, his shoulder guard was gone, and his chest was completely shattered. Although he was able to withstand such an attack, his entire body didn't feel that good. Pai, I didn't expect you to still be able to stand up, I have a whole new level of respect for you. If Bao Po wasn't angry, it would be a lie. Pai wiped off the bloodstain on the corner of his mouth and said with a smile, Bao Po, if I can also become an overlord, it's hard to say who will win. Pai, seems like you still want to continue fighting. Nonsense, I have already used an ata, how can I not continue fighting? Pai raised his hand and pointed his sword at Bao Po. The 7 ministers in Bao Po's hand immediately shot out black light, and a terrifying aura began to gradually condense. Pai. I will ask you one last time. Are you going to fight or not? Fight! Pai shouted out angrily, and a powerful Duki burst out from his body. The two immediately formed a clear contrast. Bao Po's Duki was clearly much stronger. Don't blame me then. Bao Po immediately rushed forward, and Pai's gaze focused and began blocking Bao Po's attack. Boom boom boom. Rings of light exploded at the bottom of the sea, it was extremely terrifying. Pai was forced to retreat step by step, and Bao Po was getting more and more courageous, the outcome of the battle was already very obvious. But even so, Pai still didn't retreat, even though his body was already covered with bloodstains. This kind of state made everyone admire him, this is what a real man is like. Just like that son-in-law of Bao family, he is simply trash. Qi Shuwen also wanted to be a man for once, but he didn't have the courage that Pai had. In the field, the two of them separated again. Bao Pi seemed very indifferent. Leather was already gasping for breath. His body was covered in sword wounds, and the sword in his hand had been dented and was on the verge of breaking. Actually, this was the result of Bao Pi going easy on him. If he didn't go easy on him, he would definitely have to leave. Leather, that's enough. Bao Pi said calmly. After all, he had watched him grow up. How could he kill him? There was no enmity between them. Pai Pai took a deep breath, then threw away the sword in his hand. The sharp sword fell directly into the magma and disappeared in an instant. But Leatherface put his palms together. Paw! A huge sound wave spread out. As he put his palms together, everyone felt a different aura. Even Yi Zizi began to frown. This water city is indeed powerful. Its cultivation method is impressive, Yu Hua said softly. However, the three old men were no longer calm. They set up a barrier to protect the citizens. Your third bro simply doesn't want to live anymore. Kong Fei Qing said in a deep voice. Pai Liangjuan's expression sank as he let out a small sigh. Your third bro is indeed powerful. Bao Ci couldn't help but praise Leather. This is what a real man should be like. Sigh, in the field, Leather muttered to himself. The belated water god's whirlpool. Following this sentence, the seawater began trembling. Decaying sea of sand, bones appear. Following this sentence, the skeletons that were buried at the bottom of the sea began to move slightly. Lowly life, shine once again. Heavenly Ceiling Ghost Chart, Bone Official. Boom boom boom. Loud sounds rang out from the bottom of the sea, and countless skeletons floated up. There were weak fishes, and there were also strong fishes. All of the skeletons rushed towards Leather. During the entire process, the skeletons gradually gathered together and formed into a huge skeletons. That astonishing aura. It actually reached the level of Overlord. That was way too awesome. Even Kai Yun was a bit dazed. If I were to learn this technique, that would simply be heaven-defying. Even Qing Yutong was a bit envious of this technique, it is simply too overpowered. This rank 2 Dozun directly reached half-step Dozun, and he even managed to summon an Overlord creature. If the people of this water city were to go out, wouldn't the world be turned upside down? Roar! A bonefish that was formed from skeletons roared furiously. Looking at how those three ancient divine beasts revealed their battle intent, it could be seen how powerful this bonefish was. Leather, you are truly powerful. You even know how to use the bone official. As long as one is willing to learn, there is nothing that one cannot learn. Leather said in a deep voice. This was his final trump card. If he still couldn't defeat Bao Pi with this, then there would be no hope. You are right, as long as one is willing to learn, Leather, I should be able to learn more than you. Bao Pi kept his 7 ministers and said faintly, since you like to play with the Heavenly Ceiling Ghost Chart, then I will play with you till the end. Bao Pi also placed his hands together. Bang! The wave that was created caused everyone's scalp to go numb. Luckily, there was a barrier protecting them, if not everyone would have died. Dusty Water God. Hearing these words, the expressions of the 3 old men changed greatly. Crazy! Kong Feiqing shouted in a deep voice. Pai Liangjun did not hesitate at all and was about to charge forward on his prairie-blazing warhorse. However, Bao Ci's figure immediately stopped him. Get out of my way. Bao Ci said in a deep voice, you should know. If you stop my he will suffer a backlash. So what? Bao Ci's expression turned cold. So what? Your son is alive, so is my son not alive. This is all your third son's fault. How many times have I told him to stop? Your son just won't listen. He even used the bone official. Brother Pai, I want to say something fair about this matter, you really can't interrupt them now. Kong Feiqing said in a deep voice, standing beside Bao Xi. Fine. You two can do it. If anything happens to my third son, I will kill your entire family. Pai Liangjun could no longer maintain his calm. After all, his son's life was now in danger. Kai Yun said in a low voice, look at those three old men, they are quarreling. Ah, this is great, Yi Zizi clapped her small hands and said excitedly. Qing Yutong laughed tenderly. She felt that everything was within her grasp, and there was not the slightest bit of deviation. They were fighting to the death, and she did not do anything. However, Baope continued to shout, clear water covers the ocean, man controls life and death. Heavenly ceiling ghost chart water screen. Above the bonefish's head, a terrifying aura suddenly condensed, and a water fist was gradually forming. That huge pressure actually caused the bonefish to be unable to move, let alone its skin. This was a water screen released by Jizun. The degree of terror was already incomparable. Chapter 908. The terrifying water fist brought with it an immense pressure as it descended. The surrounding seawater was actually emptied. Boom! The water fist landed heavily on Yugu's body. Yugu, who was already a supreme martial artist, actually couldn't withstand it, and his whole body suddenly fell down. However, the skin was just below the fish bones, and the whole person was brought down by the fish bones. But what was below? Lava. Magma that could melt anything. This left everyone dumbstruck. Even the three old men were dumbfounded, unable to react in time. However, just like that, he lost his last chance to save them. After all, this was a cultivation technique that was released by Jizun. If he lost this opportunity, then it would be gone forever. Third brother. Pai Liangjun's figure instantly disappeared from the prairie-blazing warhorse. However, he was still a beat too late. Puff. The water fist brought the fish bones and skin into the magma, while Pai Liangjun stood above the magma, stretched out his hand, and watched his son fall into the magma. His entire body froze. No one had expected such a sudden situation. Even Baope didn't expect it, because it was also his first time using the water screen. This was truly an accident, but even if it was an accident, Baope still accidentally killed Pippi. Bao Xi rushed to his son's side, while Kong Feiqing stood beside Pai Liangjun to prevent him from going berserk. Pai Qing and Pai Guanghui stared blankly at the boiling lava, their minds blank. No matter how bad their relationship was, how could they accept the fact that their brother had died in front of them? Kong Hong and Kong Tai were also very surprised. It was too sudden, so sudden that no one could react. Looking at the dumbfounded audience, the bottom of the sea was calm. Qing Yutong and the others were also a little surprised. This water screen actually blasted Jizun's bonefish down, and it even brought along its skin. This Pai Pai was a good person. When she was acting on the ship, he helped her. Although the process was a little awkward, at least he appeared. My intention was good, although I changed my mind in the end, but you're still a good person. Under such a terrifying water screen, the skin was basically unable to move at all, and could only be taken off by the bonefish without any means to save itself. At this moment, Abalone was also stunned. She was so scared that her face turned pale. However, Qi Shuwen didn't. After all, they had never come into contact with each other before. They were even cursing each other just now. It would be good if he died. No. It's good that they're dead. Let's fight. It's best if we kill them all. I curse you. Pai Pai. Pai Liangjun, who had lost his beloved son, was infuriated. The aura of a sovereign burst forth, which was much stronger than Bao Po's. The entire magma seemed to be able to sense Pai Liangjuan's anger, turning from gold to blood red, as if Pai Liangjuan's blood had dyed the magma red. Pai Qing and Pai Guanghui instantly appeared in front of their father, glaring angrily at the Bao father and son. Bao Xi and Bao Po looked at the three from House Pai, their expressions a little unnatural. Brother Pai, please calm down. Go to hell and calm down. Bao Pa, give me back my son's life. Pai Liangjun furiously shouted and punched towards Bao Pa. Bao Xi narrowed his eyes and stood in front of his son. Pai Liangjun. You're being unreasonable. You killed my son, and you want me to reason with you. I'll kill your son first. Are you crazy? Let's not talk about the risks in the deep sea arena. My pa told your son to admit defeat, but your son didn't listen, causing such a result. Who's at fault? Everyone can be the judge. Bao Xi directly punched out. When the fists of the two supreme martial artists collided, the entire surface of the ocean trembled, and cracks even appeared on the surface of the ocean. However, on the surface of the Sea of Innocence, a gigantic tsunami actually appeared. The tsunami's height had already reached a few hundred meters, and it was currently heading towards the coastal area. This was something that no one expected. If a tsunami like this were to land on the coastal area, it would definitely be a devastating disaster. Right now, the situation at the bottom of the ocean wasn't looking good either. The two supreme martial artists started fighting, and Kong Feiqing couldn't do anything about it. One of his sons died, how could he not be angry? However, the spectators could only watch the fight between the supreme martial artists. Although they couldn't see the fight clearly, it was still very satisfying. Pai Liangjun, that's enough. Bao Xi shouted coldly. I'm going to kill you today. Did you forget what we came here to do today? Bao Xi said in a low voice. After hearing what Bao Xi said, Pai Liangjun paused for a moment and clenched his fists tightly. After today's matter is over, we'll talk about this matter again. How about it? Go to hell. Pai Liangjun still chose to take revenge for his son. Whatever seal, I don't care about it anymore. Kong Feiqing took a deep breath, then said towards his two sons, you two quickly go back. Don't stay here anymore. Father. Quickly go back. Kong Hong and Kong Tai took a look at the five beauties and seemed to be a bit unwilling to give up. Kong Feiqing nearly exploded from anger. Look at what time it is already, and you two are still thinking about beauties. Can you two grow up? Look at that guy's skin, he has great talent, but he still died in the end. Scram. Yes. Kong Hong and Kong Tai could only leave. Father definitely has something to do. Looking at the boiling magma, Kong Feiqing felt a bit uneasy. However, just when this thought appeared in his mind, the boiling of the magma became even more intense, and an overflowing aura gushed out crazily. Pai Liangjun and Bao Xi, who were fighting, stopped and looked at the magma beneath their feet. Even the spectators looked towards the magma, and their hearts were filled with curiosity. What is going on? After being quiet for so many years, why did the magma suddenly start boiling today? Father, just what is going on? Bao Pi came to his father's side and asked in a low voice. Quickly leave with Sharky. Father, you have to tell me what is going on, right? Bao Pi said solemnly. Looking at the magma, Bao Xi took a deep breath. This is the seal that our ancestor left behind, old ancestor again. Who exactly was their old ancestor? What is down there, to actually be able to survive in the magma? Hearing his father's words, Bao Po was a bit absent-minded. This is an extremely dangerous creature. If we use it well, it will be our family's treasure. If we don't use it well, the consequences will be unimaginable. Father, what is it called? Abyssal wave. Right after Bao Ci finished speaking, a furious roar actually came out from within the magma. The roar seemed to be carrying unwillingness and humiliation, and then, it was about to appear and destroy everyone. Quickly! Bring Sharky and leave! Bao Ci shouted. Bao Po was unwilling to delay and hurriedly flew towards his little sister. Qi Shu Wen, quickly leave with Sharky. Bao Po shouted towards his brother-in-law. Big brother, did something happen? Seemingly not knowing what was going on, Bao Yuyu asked concernedly. Qi Shu Wen. Didn't you hear what I said? All right, big brother. Qi Shu Wen hurriedly answered, then brought along the unwilling Bao Yuyu. Qi Shu Wen also felt a terrifying aura. If I don't leave now, I'm afraid that I won't be able to leave later on. However, Bao Po didn't plan to leave right now. I still have an état on me. I can still help my father. Chapter 909. Why did you come back? Don't you know that I told you to leave? Bao Ci shouted in a low voice. Do you think this is a game? That could cost someone's life. Bao Po said in a deep voice, Father, I have already opened an état, there is still an hour left. With my sovereign strength, I can also help you. Hearing his son's words, Bao Ci seemed to have just realized that his son had opened the état realm and also had the strength of a supreme martial artist. Then go evacuate the people first. Yes. Pai Liangjun was furious, but the roar from the magma calmed him down a little. The two of you, go home immediately. Pai Liangjun said in a deep voice. Father. Scram. Pai Ching and Pai Guanghui felt quite helpless. They wanted to help their father, but they had no choice but to scram. After all, his strength was there, and he still had to let his father take care of him. But what kind of monster was under the magma? While carrying doubts, Pai Ching and Pai Guanghui left first. At this moment, Bao Po was also evacuating the audience. However, some people were unwilling to leave. It seemed that there was going to be a good show to watch soon. It seemed like this excitement was not divided by region. People everywhere liked to watch a good show, and they didn't mind it. But some people were destined to be tragic. Roar! Waves of frenzied roars reverberated through the entire sea. Once again, an even larger tsunami appeared on the Sea of Innocence. This was a disaster. Magma began to erupt like sparks. Even the barrier set up by the three old men was unable to withstand the erosion of the magma. It disappeared in an instant. When a drop of lava fell on someone's arm in the spectator stands, a maniacal scream suddenly rang out. This person began to turn into a skeleton at a speed visible to the naked eye. This magma was indeed terrifying. Moreover, the magma was like a dense Gatling gun, falling into the surroundings. The crowd was screaming. If they were given another chance, they definitely wouldn't stay and watch the show. It was as if they were playing with their lives. The four honorable beings were also resisting the lava. After all, if it were to land on their bodies, they did not know what sort of damage it would cause. Meanwhile, at Qin Yutong's side, all of the imperial guards surrounding her were shot down. Only the 5 of them were fine. It was as if they had the protagonist's halo. The magma just didn't land on them. It was as if tens of thousands of arrows were shot at the same time, but they just couldn't hit their target. It didn't make sense. His luck was just that good. Yi Zizi closed her eyes and murmured, "This voice is really nice." Yeah, it's the sound of nature. Kai Yun also closed his eyes in enjoyment. It was too comfortable. Brett pursed his lips. What 2 little perverts. It's none of your business, old woman. Yi Zizi snorted. Brett couldn't be bothered to lower himself to Yi Zizi's level, so he stopped talking. Qin Yutong, on the other hand, was looking inside the magma. Just what kind of monster would appear? Hearing that roar, it should be a very powerful monster. This was no small matter and could not be underestimated. Alright, it was just a joke. There were 5 freaks standing here, so the ones he had to be careful of were the 4 supreme beings. A stream of magma spurted out like a fountain. It was dazzling and beautiful. However, this magma spewed out from the deep sea. On the vast sea of innocence, a terrifying wave of lava burst out of the sea and rushed into the clouds. However, when the magma was blown by the wind from high up in the sky, it was originally perfectly straight, but right now, it started to bend. As for where it would be blown to, no one knew. However, it was hard to deny that if this magma were to fall down, it would be a terrifying disaster. Old Mao, how's today's harvest? A 70-year-old old man walked over while holding onto a fishing rod and a sieve. His face was brimming with a gentle smile. Old Wang, that little grandson of yours has just been born, are you willing to come out? Old Mao was also a 70-year-old old man. Wearing a conical bamboo hat, he turned his head around and said with a smile. Old Wang sat beside Old Zhang and said with a slight smile, fishing is more important for us brothers, it's fine as long as there is an old woman looking after us. Look at your mouth that can't be closed, it must be comfortable to have a grandson. Old Wang said with a slight smile. That's right, if that son of mine didn't fight for it, he would have stayed in this small fishing village for the rest of his life, waiting for that little grandson to bring honor to our old Wang family. Bring honor to our ancestors, sigh. Old Mao let out a deep sigh. That son of yours hasn't returned home for almost 20 years, right? Sigh, sometimes, I really feel that I don't have this son anymore. That son of yours is very busy, but fortunately, with your son in Meridian Break Sept, our village is a bit better off. Old Mao laughed lightly. In the past, I did feel that I had a lot of face, but after a long time, who would be able to endure it? Fishing, don't talk about such a depressing matter. Alright, let us return with a full harvest today. The two hid at the seaside and chatted while fishing. There was even a small glass of wine placed at the side. Old Mao, am I drunk? The horizon seems to be covered. Old Wang rubbed his eyes and asked curiously. Old Wang rubbed his eyes and asked confusedly, what is that? However, at the horizon, a huge tsunami came attacking, and the terrifying pressure seemed to be able to tear everything apart. Old Mao, what is this? Old Zhang grabbed onto Old Mao's arm and asked in alarm. Old Mao was also stupefied by the thing in front of him. It's too tall, it seems to be able to cover the entire sky. The tsunami didn't come, but a strong gale immediately came, and the two elders were instantly blown away. Their bodies fiercely collided onto the big rock behind them, and the two of them spurted out blood. And in the fishing village that was a few hundred meters behind them, all of the houses were flipped over. There were thousands of people in the fishing village, and in an instant, more than 10 people died. Panic spread in everyone's heart, because everyone saw that terrifying tsunami. Covering the blazing sun in the sky, everyone immediately knelt down and prayed, praying to the sea god for protection. Old Mao, Old Zhang, the two elders looked at the tsunami that was surging towards them, but they didn't have any way to stop it. Whoosh! The tsunami that reached the sky instantly overturned the entire fishing village, and everyone died at this moment. Even if it was a newborn child. It was simply cruel to the extreme. This fishing village was the village that was the closest to the tsunami, and there were more than 100 similar towns in the surroundings. The terrifying tsunami did not weaken in the slightest and continued attacking towards the mainland. However, at the back, an even more terrifying tsunami was following closely behind. When everyone looked at the tsunami that was swallowing everything, despair, deep despair, however, at the same time when everyone was in despair, a blazing flame appeared in the sky and slid past their heads. At the Meridian Break Sex Outer Sex Law Enforcement Team, it was currently time to eat. Team Leader Mao, congratulations. I heard that you are going to the inner courtyard. A law enforcement team member held onto a wine cup and chuckled. Chapter 941. Translations. Looking at the current Yi Yan and Yi Lu, this was the relationship that siblings should have. Once again, it showed that Yi Hua's arrangement was correct. I wonder what sister is doing now, and that ice lump, Yi Yan murmured. Yi Lu, who was at the side, became cold again. She only acted coquettishly to her own brother. Indeed, Yi Lu did not act coquettishly in front of God Yi. She only acted coquettishly in front of Yi Yan because Yi Yan was her brother. Sister must be bullying brother God Yi, Yi Lu said indifferently. Yi Lu said faintly as he pulled Yi Yan towards the cultivation room. He was already a little impatient. Yi Yan sighed. God Yi is so pitiful. Fortunately, Dad was smart and let me team up with you. Otherwise, I would have been killed by sister. Now you know that sister is good. You ignored me in the past. My good Lu, why did brother ignore you in the past? It was you who didn't play with brother and always hung out with God Yi. Yi Yan pouted. How could he say that he, as a brother, did not play with him? How heartless. Yi Lu smiled. Brother, I know I was wrong. I'll accompany brother more in the future. Yi Yan hugged his sister's shoulder. That's my good sister. Let's go. I'll let you practice. But I have to say, don't slap my face. I won't slap his face this time. I know you want to pick up girls. Hee, don't tell mom and dad. This is a little secret between us. I know. The siblings walked towards the training room under everyone's gaze. Then, they both sighed. They mourned for the training room for a second. Because it was about to collapse. It would basically collapse once a month. These two were simply perverts. As the siblings walked into the training room, everyone had a panicked expression, especially those who were taught a lesson by Yi Lu. They immediately pretended not to see it. Yi Yan continued to walk without caring about anyone. Yi Lu returned to her normal expression. Acting coquettishly was not a normal expression. The two walked towards the dedicated training room. Yi Yan pushed open the heavy metal door. Shouts could be heard from inside. Another child of the same age was waving his fists. He looked very serious, and his face was covered in sweat. It's him again, Yi Yan muttered. Emichim, Yi Lu replied calmly. The boy inside turned around to look at Yi Yan and Yi Lu. Of course, he knew them. They were about to become the principal's final disciples. No one dared to provoke them. It could be said that they could do whatever they wanted in Deity Institution. But he refused to accept it. Why were they allowed to become the disciples of Jizun and not him? He slept later than them, got up earlier than them, and worked harder than them. In just a few breaths of time, 1/5 of the outer sect had been set ablaze, and the magma was still flowing. This panic quickly attracted the attention of the inner courtyard. The Dozong teacher immediately flew to the scene of the incident. Hair hardening, what's going on? Where did this thing come from? A Dozong teacher questioned. I don't know. It fell from the sky. Just as the two of them were talking, another person suddenly appeared beside them. Everyone was stunned for a moment, then immediately knelt down and shouted, Greetings, Sovereign. The person who came was the Broken Pulse Sect Sovereign, Lasting Hatred. Sovereign, the magma fell from the sky. The Dozong teacher seemed to have something difficult to say. Lasting Hatred looked at the long line of magma and said in a deep voice, A disaster has fallen from the sky, causing a great change in time. Could it be related to that skeleton? Hair Hardening said in a low voice. Lasting Hatred waved his hand and an unknown wind blew over. The falling magma gradually moved. Although it still landed in the outer sect, it slowly moved outside. But what was outside? It was filled with countless mountains. Even Lasting Hatred could not get rid of the magma and could only move it away. After all, the inner courtyard was filled with talented disciples. They had to make a choice. As the magma moved, it finally left the outer sect and began to pour onto the mountains outside. A terrifying fire descended in an instant, and the mountains turned into a sea of fire. Everyone's hearts trembled as they watched on. Lasting Hatred's hands immediately condensed a white glow. Following which, the white glow slowly rose into the sky. Soon, a dark cloud covered the sky, and it began to pour. Hopefully, it would be of some use. Lasting Hatred comforted himself in this way. Where did this magma come from? And it accurately fell into his own sect. Report. A dozone quickly flew over and bent down in front of Lasting Hatred. Speak. The southern coast was attacked by 2 tsunamis, suffering heavy losses. Tsunamis. Lasting Hatred was puzzled, and his body instantly disappeared. Standing at the side, Hair hardened when he heard this. The parents of the coastal area quickly ran back home. In the deity institution, Dean Tai he was reading the results of the 2 little ancestors, and his face revealed a praising expression. Not bad, Yi Yen and Yi Lu are both not bad. They are extremely talented. I like them. Tai he laughed loudly. However, it seemed that the damned meridian-breaking sect also had 2 good ones. It was really troublesome. Report. A guard quickly ran into the study and knelt down on one knee. Tai he withdrew his smile, and his expression became respectful. HM. 2 tsunamis appeared in the southern coast, destroying many cities. Tai he frowned, and his body instantly disappeared from the study. Lasting Hatred was already standing not far from the tsunamis, and his gaze became deep. Tai he also appeared beside him, also looking at the tsunamis not far away. What is this water city doing? Lasting Hatred said in a low voice. There was still golden magma above his head. From this direction, it seemed to have appeared from Water City. Tai he said in a low voice, I'm afraid something happened to Water City. Water City has been peaceful for so long, why did something happen at this time? Are those 3 Supremes useless? Lasting Hatred said angrily. Now that he found out that the golden magma came from Water City, how could he not be angry? He originally thought that it was a natural omen, but it turned out to be man-made. It can't be that Water City is declaring war on us again. Tai he said in a low voice, and his body gradually revealed a huge aura. Under this aura, the surging tsunamis actually decreased, and then turned into seawater that flowed on the ground. Then accept their declaration of war. Lasting Hatred shouted in anger, and a terrifying pressure directly flattened the second tsunami. Tai he said indifferently, I'll go back and make some preparations first. We have to talk to them properly about this matter. That's fine. After saying that, Tai he disappeared. And Lasting Hatred looked at the golden magma in the sky, and there was nothing he could do. However, at this moment, the golden magma actually fell. Baidu search 881 Chinese network yen. No advertising words. Chapter 9:11. Long Hatred immediately dispersed, and a long stream of magma fell onto the ground, instantly igniting the ground. Seeing such a scene, Long Hatred clenched his fists. This is going too far. Do you really think that you can do whatever you want just because you have 3 Supremes? What a frog at the bottom of a well. At the same time, long hatred also disappeared from the sky. When he saw that half of his outer courtyard had disappeared, he really wanted to call for help right now and rushed to Water City to demand an explanation. Do you really think that I, who live on land, am easy to bully? However, the rainwater had no effect on the magma at all. What was supposed to be burning was still burning. Water City, you guys did well this time. You've angered me. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. On the other side, Mao Hao also rushed back home at top speed. He didn't even hesitate to use a few jump scrolls, which were his trump cards for escaping. However, he couldn't care so much right now. Mao Hao, who was in the sky, saw that the land had turned into an ocean, and a large number of corpses appeared on the surface of the ocean. To ordinary people, this tsunami was simply a huge killing power. They had no way of resisting it at all. My home is right by the sea. Since this place has turned into an ocean, then, Mao Hao didn't dare to stay any longer. He used the jump scrolls again and rushed back desperately. But, Mao Hao couldn't find his home anymore. There was seawater everywhere, and there were corpses of humans and animals everywhere. Father! Mother! Mao Hao roared angrily. He regretted himself. He was so focused on training that he didn't go back to take a look. He only regretted it when something happened. Ah! Mao Hao roared and looked at the distant ocean. Sea of Innocence. Inside the deep sea arena, no one knew what had happened outside, nor did they know what the consequences of those few strikes just now were. Because they couldn't do anything about it, the thing in front of them was the biggest threat. A huge golden claw stretched out from the magma and stabbed into the sea rocks at the side. Father, what exactly is this abyssal wave? Bao Po was a bit shocked. This monster. I'm afraid its strength is above supreme. Bao Po didn't say anything, he just stared at what was about to appear. Kong Feiqing said faintly, the prehistoric divine beasts and ferocious beasts that we're familiar with are the strongest spiritual creatures, but above them, there's another terrifying existence. Inferno. Pai Liangjun said. Bao Po was confused. He had never heard of the burning fiend before. This term was too foreign to everyone. Bao Ci said gravely, the term the burning fiend represents a race. There are a lot of races within this race, countless of them, it's just that they are gradually disappearing from everyone's sight. And this abyssal ocean wave is also a race of burning fiend, it was imprisoned here by the old ancestor. Father, how powerful is Fen Sha? Bao Po swallowed his saliva. It sounded very powerful. I don't know. Bao Ci shook his head. He was indeed here to deal with this scourge. Otherwise, the entire Water City would suffer. However, it was said that as long as they defeated the Fen Sha, they would be able to subdue it. Therefore, they had to face the danger and strive to subdue this monster. Of course, Yu Hua heard their conversation. She smiled and said, they even know about Fen Sha. They're not simple. Just who is their ancestor? He seems to know everything, said Brett with a faint smile. Doraemon. Qing Yutong giggled, she was not worried about the monster that was about to appear in the slightest. I like Crayon Shin-chan. Kai Yun pouted his mouth, then said, I have an elephant so big, when this sentence was said, it caused the four women to laugh. So big, do you have an elephant? Just as the five women were chatting and laughing, an explosion sounded out from within the magma once again. Another sharp claw came out from within the magma. Looking carefully, there was even hair on the claw. Just that, this kind of hair, seemed to be more like sharp blades that were flickering with ice-cold chilliness. Boom 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 boom. Continuous sounds rang out. 8 legs. Ruthlessly stabbing into the surrounding rocks. F***K, so disgusting, I suddenly don't feel like sucking it. Yi Zizi immediately pounced into Qin Yutong's embrace, expressing that she did not like this kind of animal. Kai Yun was the same as he pounced into Yuhua's embrace. I'm going to vomit. Yuhua helplessly caressed Kai Yun's back, then said faintly, if I didn't guess wrongly, this should be the poisonwood race. Poisonwood race. Brett was also a newbie, and he expressed his doubt. Yuhua nodded her head. The poisonwood race usually lives in the depths of the sea, and they are the strongest race in the sea. Their entire body is filled with poison, and they are able to adjust the secretion of the poison in their body according to the difference of the enemy. Their body is also incomparably hard, and even ancient artifacts are unable to harm them in the slightest. So powerful. I am going to give it a try later then. Brett's fighting spirit appeared. The main reason was because what Yuhua said was too powerful. Brett just wanted to try out how powerful the poisonwood race was and loosen up a bit. Only this kind of opponent would be interesting. This poisonwood race's battle prowess in the sea is very strong, but when it comes to land, its battle prowess would be reduced by half. Yuhua added. Kai Yun pouted his mouth and said, furthermore, this poisonwood race has been soaking in the hot spring for so long, I reckon that it has already become immune to fire attribute weapons. Look at that hair on its legs, it has already evolved. That is indeed the case. Yi Zizi took another peek at the poisonwood race, and she felt even more disgusted. Yi Zizi hurriedly squeezed her face into Qin Yutong's embrace and refused to come out. While they were chatting idly on one side, on the other side, the atmosphere had already reached the peak. The abyss wave is about to appear. Boom! A huge body emerged from the magma, and the golden magma flowed down slowly from its body. The body looked as if it had just soaked in a hot spring, and one could not feel the heat at all. This body is a bit strange, it looks like a maggot. The body looks soft, and it is even squirming, but it is wrapped around by the golden magma. This feeling is just like the combination of a spider and a maggot, and the disgusting feeling is simply raised to another level. Furthermore, this plaything's body is still very big, and when some of the details are magnified, one's entire body would turn numb just by looking at it. Qin Yutong turned her head away. This is too disgusting. Brett and Yuhua looked at the abyss wave with great interest. As expected of a perverted woman, they are actually able to look at this thing with a serious expression. Excitement can be seen on their faces. The three old men immediately called their mounts. No, it is a prehistoric divine beast. Prairie blazing war horse. Divine dragon. Terrifying giant crocodile. With 7 people that possess the strength of an overlord, is there even a need to be afraid of not being able to deal with a single abyss wave? Bao Xi did not think at all as he quickly formed seals with his hands, heavenly sealing ghost chart, black coffin. For Bao Xi to be able to use the black coffin, he could be said to be rather skilled. Countless black shadows formed around the abyss wave's body, and in a single breath's time, the black coffin had completely enveloped the abyss wave. Chapter 9:12. The black coffin Bao Si used was even purer, many times stronger than the one Bao Pi used. Father, is this useful? Asked Bao Pe. It doesn't work, Bao Si said solemnly. Just as he finished speaking, Kong Feiqing, who was at the side, quickly formed a seal with his hands, and a terrifying force formed around him. Heavenly Sealing Ghost Manual, Graceful Swan. Following Kong Feiqing's angry roar, countless bright red lights appeared around the black coffin. These lights were like needles, but they were very thin and long. Every thin needle emitted a surging power that was shocking to the extreme. This heavenly sealing ghost chart was truly a good item. With a flick of Kong Feiqing's finger, all the brilliant light was inserted into the black coffin. When Qin Yutong saw this scene, she suddenly said, "Have you all seen a magic trick, a black box with a knife inside?" I've seen it before, Yizizi raised her hand and said. She looked quite cute. I've seen it too, Kaiyun also raised his hand like Yizizi. They really were two primary school students. Yuhua said lightly, this kind of magic is still too light for Fen Sha. Kaiyun nodded. At the very least, they had to use strange flames. At this time, Pai Liangjun temporarily put down his hatred and dealt with this abyssal wave first. Pai Liangjun stacked his hands together, his palms facing the huge black coffin. Silence Hong sect. As soon as he said that, a golden door appeared in front of the abyssal waves. The entire door looked very complicated, and there were complicated seals on the door beam, giving off a terrifying pressure. Shocking world extermination. Boom! A huge red door appeared behind them, forming a sharp contrast with the golden door. The entire sea trembled slightly. The door of life. Boom! A massive white door appeared on the left, giving off a shocking aura. As soon as the three doors appeared, Zhao Fu could clearly feel the black coffin trembling. When Bao Pe saw this, his eyes shone with excitement. This was one of the most mysterious moves of the Heavenly Sealing Ghost Manual. One could only learn it after reaching the utmost exalted level. Even he had only heard of it, but had never seen it before. He didn't expect Pai Liangjun to actually learn it. He wondered if his father knew how to do it. Stargate. Boom! The silver doors descended once more. As the four doors descended, the water began to boil. The immense pressure made Bao Po feel uncomfortable. Too strong. He was simply too strong. Although Bao Po felt uncomfortable, his eyes were filled with excitement. He also wanted to learn this move. Heavenly Sealing Ghost Chart, 4 Gates of Purgatory. Pai Liangjun shouted in a low voice. The four doors quickly merged together, and a phantom appeared within the doors. A terrifying aura swept through the black coffin, and the dazzling red needles were instantly broken. Brett's eyes were deep as he said faintly, the 4 gates of purgatory are really strong. Each gate emits a different attack method that makes up for each other's flaws. It seems like they don't have physical attacks, but only after experiencing them personally will you know how powerful they are. Looking at Brett's intentions, it seemed like he also wanted to test the might of the 4 gates of purgatory. Who would have thought that this skill would be so incredible? I'm impressed with Water City now. Yuhua said softly. She had felt bored at first, but after seeing so many heavenly sealing ghost arts, her curiosity was piqued. But it was just curiosity. Right now, Bao Pe had also discovered Qin Yutong and her group. Just now, he really didn't have the time to look at them, but he didn't expect that they would actually be standing there and not running away. They are really courting death. But I can't go over and say anything right now. After all, the matter in front of me is the most important thing. The attack of the 4 gates of purgatory seemed to have suppressed the abyssal wave, or at least it was unable to react. It is only a so-so, just wait to be turned into a pool of blood. Pai Liangjun said faintly. In his heart, he could not bear to see this happen. After all, this big fellow is also a treasure. Kong Feiqing shouted in a low voice, don't let your guard down, this is burning spirit, how can it be so easy to destroy? Just when Pai Liangjun wanted to refute, the black coffin below him started to shake violently, as if it was going to break free. The 4 of them shouted at the same time, Heavenly Sealing Ghost Chart, Imprisonment. Numerous golden ropes wrapped around the black coffin. This fellow is so strong. Kong Feiqing could feel the might that was transmitted over by the ropes. This monster is very powerful. It seems like it is going to break free from the black coffin. Qin Yutong and the others just watched, they did not plan to make a move. Roar! A loud roar shook the black coffin. With a loud bang, the black coffin instantly turned into powder and disappeared into the sea. And the imprisonment on the black coffin dissipated at the same time. The four of them were evidently shocked by the recoil, and bloodstains were flowing out from the corners of their mouths. Although the recoil was not fatal, it was enough to make them exclaim in admiration. Just a single roar was able to make them suffer from the recoil. If it were to become serious, then it would be terrible. Abyss Wave once again appeared in everyone's line of sight. The eye below his forehead looked too scary, although it was only one eye. However, the area of the eyes occupied the entire face, so when they opened, they looked very frightening. Four of Abyss Wave's sharp claws pierced towards the four gates of purgatory. The four gates of purgatory were like a powerless little girl. They could only be pierced through. They did not even have the slightest chance to struggle. The four gates of purgatory were instantly destroyed. Meanwhile, Abyss Wave seemed to be a bit angry. One of his eyes stared fixedly at the four of them, seemingly wanting to exterminate them. "This eye is a bit similar to mine," Kai Yun said jokingly. Because his main body also had a pair of huge eyes, his eyes were a bit similar to this eye. "They are in trouble," Brian said lightly. "What happened just now was the best opportunity. If they are unable to get rid of this Abyss Wave would become their nightmare." Abyss Wave's body suddenly leaped high up into the air, then rapidly descended. "Disperse!" Bao Ci shouted out loudly. The four of them and their pets all dispersed. Boom! When Abyss Wave descended, the entire scene brought about a gigantic underwater tsunami. Everything in front of them was sand, making it impossible to see anything within a meter of them. Qing Yutong smiled. "This Abyss Wave sure is smart." Yu Hua smiled, then said lightly, "Burning spirits are all high-level life forms. They all have their own thoughts, and they use their brains to fight, unlike ancient divine beasts that don't need brains." Right now, Bao Ci was a bit flustered. The aura of an overlord instantly spread out, seemingly wanting to use the pressure that erupted out from his body to blow away the surrounding sand. However, the more he boasted, the more Bao Ci felt helpless. Roar! Bao Ci's mount, the terrifying crocodile, suddenly let out a roar. This kind of roar was not one of excitement, but the kind of roar that was filled with pain. No! Although Bao Ci did not know what happened, he could feel that his mount was in imminent danger. However, the surrounding sand was too dense. It was definitely this Abyss Wave's doing. Does it have such a smart brain? End of this chapter. Chapter 9:13. The terrifying giant crocodile let out a blood-curdling screech, and the entire seabed fell silent. Bao Ci's face darkened, as if he had already sensed it. However, Pai Liangjun was gloating. The death of a mount was a devastating blow to Bao Ci. He was probably even sadder than if his son had died. His son could be reborn, but this prehistoric beast could not, and even more so could not be tamed. This was retribution. It wasn't that the time hadn't come yet. With that thought in mind, Pai Liangjun immediately ordered his steed to leave. He had already lost a son, so he could not lose the prairie-blazing warhorse as well. Kong Feiqing thought so too. He immediately ordered his dragon to leave. He had thought that they would still be able to put up a fight against such a monster, but in the end, they would only be eaten. This was unacceptable. Gradually, the sea of sand began to sink, and the field of vision became clear. However, the four of them looked at the scene in front of them and felt their scalps go numb. To be honest, that terrifying huge crocodile's body size is longer than Abyssal Wave, and it definitely has an advantage in terms of body size. However, in terms of strength, there is a world of difference. The weak were food. Just like now, the Abyssal Waves were currently gnawing on the terrifying giant crocodile. Even the front half of its body was gone, and its huge head was eaten. Bao Ci was infuriated to the extreme when he saw this scene. This was his mount, but now it was eaten alive, and right in front of him. The seawater was immediately suffused with a scarlet color and the smell of blood. This was the scent that Yi Zizi and Kai Yun liked the most. Just smelling it, it was extremely fragrant. After all, this was the blood of a primordial ferocious beast, and it was also a great tonic. Abyssal Wave was still enjoying his prey. He did not put the four of them in his eyes at all. Such a long and terrifying huge crocodile, in just a few moves, only its tail was left. This is simply unbelievable. Moreover, as the Abyssal Wave ate, its body gradually emitted a golden light. The light looked a little dim, as if this terrifying giant crocodile couldn't fill it up. As the last tail entered his stomach, Abyssal Ocean Wave burped as a snack. However, even if it was just a single burp, a massive wave of air immediately engulfed Bao Ci and the others. The four supreme beings could only passively defend themselves. Father. There's no way we can beat them. Bao Pe said in a low voice. Even the desolate wild beast had been eaten. One had to know that that fella had the strength of a supreme being as well. But all it did was cry out once and it was eaten right into its stomach. The three old men had also clearly felt that they had still underestimated Yi Hua. I thought that I would be able to defeat Yi Hua, but in the end, it was completely not like that. What should we do? Kong Feiqing whispered. Bao Ci and Pai Liangjun remained silent. If they let this monster go, then the people of Water City would suffer. However, the current problem was that if he perished, the people of Water City would continue to suffer. It seemed like the results were all the same. Now, it was time to make a decision on how to deal with this abyssal wave. Such a terrifying creature should not have appeared in the Kangluo continent. It was simply at the level of a bug. No one could defeat it at all. No wonder even the great ancestor could only seal it. It was already the limit for a great desolate era ferocious beast to appear to cause trouble. Now, it was the burning fiend race. What else could they do? I have an idea, Pai Liangjun said in a low voice. What? Lead him to the land. Pai Liangjun said calmly. He would let the mainlanders deal with this monster. After all, the ones who died were not his own people. Bao Pe said in a low voice, this is a good idea. No, this abyssal wave is originally an underwater creature. How can it go to land? Kong Feiqing shook his head. This was simply impossible. Could you let a fish swim on land? He was thinking too much. Then what should we do? Bao Pe was a little anxious. However, just as the four of them were discussing how to deal with the situation, the abyssal sea wave bounced up again and attacked them. That huge impact made everyone's scalp go numb. If they were hit, vomiting blood would be a small matter, and they would probably faint. If Abyssal Ocean Wave only knew these few moves, then he was gravely mistaken. One of the legs actually extended infinitely, and the hair on the leg immediately stood up. It was simply like a primordial divine weapon. Bao Pe, who was running away, turned pale with fright. There was actually a huge phantom image behind him. Bao Pe couldn't care less and could only dodge in a hurry. However, this was the special attack method of Abyssal Wave. The blade-like hair still managed to cut Bao Pe's left arm. His left arm was cleanly cut off in an instant. Abyssal Ocean Wave didn't continue to chase and kept its leg. However, Bao Ci only knew that this fellow was called Abyssal Ocean Wave, and didn't know its full name, Poison Wood. Are you alright? Bao Ci hurriedly checked on his son's injuries. Luckily, it was only a broken arm, there was still a way to deal with it. Bao Pe didn't have much worry. Father, I am fine, it is better to quickly think of a way. You leave first, leave this place to father. Then how? Speaking until here, Bao Pe's eyes suddenly widened, and his eyeballs seemed like they were going to explode. Bao Ci turned his head around and looked at his son confusedly. What happened to you? Bao Pi couldn't say anything, and black objects started appearing on his skin, and his stomach started swelling. Bao Ci was anxious, but he didn't know what to do. Bao Po's body became incomparably huge, and it seemed like it was going to explode. Bao Ci. Quickly leave. Your Po is going to explode. Kong Feiqing hurriedly shouted. Pai Liangjun didn't say anything. This can be counted as a bargain. One of my sons died, and one of my mounts died as well. Doesn't this mean that I still made a profit? Po father will think of a way for you, don't be anxious. Looking at his son's face that was filled with pain, Bao Ci shouted out anxiously. Then, he struck out one technique after another into his son's body, but it didn't have any effect. Kong Feiqing couldn't care so much anymore, and he hurriedly flew over and pulled Bao Ci away. This is the explosion of an overlord. Even if you are an overlord, you will still be implicated. Po Bao Ci shouted out towards his son, and tears flowed down his face. The explosion that he imagined didn't appear. Pooh! This voice that suddenly appeared caused even Bao Ci to stop shouting out in grief and indignation. Bao Po's swollen stomach was actually torn apart from the inside. 8 legs were revealed outside his stomach. Looking at this scene, Yizizi was suddenly startled. F***K, this is an aberration. This poisonous wood is actually the parent body. Yuhua went into a daze for a moment, then soon after, she smiled and said, this idea isn't bad, it's more or less like this. Seems like this poisonous wood isn't simple, it actually has this kind of reproduction ability. Kai Yun said faintly. The 3 overlords didn't know that this was a poisonous wood. After all, there weren't any records of this. However, the scene before their eyes had already surpassed their imagination. End of this chapter. Chapter 9:14. Bao Po was still thinking. He lowered his head and looked at his stomach. His 8 legs were already exposed, and he could even feel his stomach wriggling. Everyone also saw that Bao Po's stomach was flashing, and under this flash, they could clearly see that there was something inside that swollen stomach. It was even exactly the same as that abyssal wave. His 8 legs gradually exerted force and pulled his belly open, finally revealing his body. Bao Po's pair of eyes seemed as if they were going to pop out. Just what is going on? In despair, Bob looked at his father helplessly, just like when he was a child. When Bao Ci saw the look in his son's eyes, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. This was his own son. The image of Bao Pe as a child appeared in Bao Ci's mind. Those images made Bao Ci feel like he was going crazy. Puff! The miniature abyssal wave finally bounced out, and Bao Pe lost his life at this moment. Even his primordial spirit did not emerge. His entire body slowly fell, falling onto the sand. It seemed like the primordial spirit had been transferred to the tiny abyssal wave. Zzzzzzz, the waves in the small abyss emitted a subtle sound. Although it was very subtle, everyone could feel that this fellow actually had the strength of a supreme being. It seemed like he had completely absorbed Bao Pe. How could there be such a monstrous monster? However, when Dumu looked at the remaining 3 people, his huge eyes were filled with desire, as if he wanted to transform these 3 people. Kong Feiqing said in a low voice, "We can't stay here, we have to go back. Call for help." Pai Liangjun nodded his head. Right now, he was basically sending himself to his death. He might even become someone else's sacrifice. If you want to leave, you can leave. I want to avenge my son. Bao Ci was just like Pai Liangjun. How could a father bear to see his son die in front of him? Pai Liang-jun shouted coldly, "Do you want to become that little monster and attack the people of Water City?" After saying that, he nodded at Kong Feiqing. The two of them carried Bao Xi, and Pai Liang-jun took out a scroll. Seeing this situation, Poison Wood's 3 legs immediately rushed over, not intending to let him go. Pai Liang-jun hurriedly crushed the scroll, and the 3 of them disappeared, while the 3 legs stabbed the air. Roar! Dumu roared in anger, and his huge eyes immediately looked towards Qin Yutong and the others. "Ah, it seems like we are going to suffer a calamity." Qin Yutong smiled, and actually began to do gymnastics while sitting down. "Finally, there are no more people, and I can finally go onto the stage. Let me." Kai Yin rolled up his sleeves, looking as if he was saying, "Don't fight with me over this. It's not easy for me to encounter a burning spirit, so I can properly play with him. I'll do it." Yi Zizi snorted. How could she miss something so fun? Brett said lightly, "You 2 kids go to the side." "Old woman, who are you calling a child?" "I'm talking about you, airport." Brett pouted. Yi Zizi was speechless. 2 water balls fell on my chest. That's incredible. Who would like that? Hee hee, it's fine as long as my absolute heaven likes it. At the very least, it's better than your fried egg. No one likes it, Brett said with a look of disdain. Yi Zizi flew into a rage. "Who are you calling a fried egg? I'll beat you up." "Yutong, don't stop me." "I didn't stop you." Qin Yutong raised both of her hands up high, and with the look of, "If you want to go, then go ahead, don't say that I am stopping you." Yi Zizi snorted, "If your wife doesn't allow it, I'll break those 2 water balls of yours today." "Hee hee, are you jealous of me, fried egg? You." "Stop, stop, stop." Qin Yutong couldn't take it anymore. "These 2 people start scolding each other whenever they are together, I really can't take it anymore." Looking at Poison Wood, all of them had a puzzled look on their faces. "Can't you give me face? Let's play rock paper scissors, how about it?" Qin Yutong felt that this was the way to give Poison Wood face. Everyone nodded their heads, but Yuhua didn't want to participate. "Yuhua, you come as well. The 2 of us have a higher chance of winning. You win, or should I go?" Kai Yun was rather smart, pulling Yuhua along to play rock paper scissors. Yuhua had no other choice, she could only do this. Rock paper scissors. Rock paper scissors. Rock paper scissors. The 5 women started playing, and Poisonwood, who was at the side, watched on blankly. That gaze of his was filled with rage. "I'm actually being looked down upon, and what's more, I'm being looked down upon by 5 women. They are actually acting as if they are joking with me and don't put me in their eyes at all." However, not far away, there were still 2 figures that did not leave. That was Chi Shu-win and Abalone Fish. "Husband, let's go, my big brother, woo." Abalone Fish had seen everything just now, and she was extremely sad. Chi Shu-win hugged onto Abalone Fish and consoled her in a low voice, "Wait a while more, we still have to go and collect Big Brother's corpse." Abalone Fish went into a daze, and was instantly moved. "Husband, you are really too good. How would Chi Shu-win even have the intention to go and collect the corpse? I just want to go and pick up some leftovers and see if there are any treasures left. Bao Po's 7 ministers seem to still be there, I can take them away. However, these 5 women are actually playing rock paper scissors, I simply can't take it anymore, those idiots, we're all deceived by these 5 women." "Husband, what are they doing?" Abalone Fish asked curiously. I reckon that they are sending someone to the stage." "Ah. Why, did they decide to fight one-on-one?" "I don't know either. The two looked towards a place not far away. Old woman, you can't do it, hurry up and scram. Yizizi cheered, expressing that she was very excited. Kill all of them. Kai Yun was unhappy and snuggled into Yuhua's embrace. Yuhua even had to comfort Kai Yun in a low voice. Qin Yutong, on the other hand, didn't mind, she just wanted to see how Yizizi was going to completely oppress them. Yizizi took a deep breath, then yawned. The white princess dress that she was wearing on her body added a unique flavor to it. When Abalone Fish saw Yizizi walking out, she cried out in surprise, "My God, is she preparing to go and fight by herself? That abalone sea wave is so big, and she is so small." Size is not important, what is important is strength. Qi Shuwen said gravely. You are right, but are they that powerful? You will know after you see. Yizizi slowly walked into the air, then pointed at Dumu, you better let me get excited, if not I will suck you to death. Dumu didn't know how to speak, if not, he would definitely ridicule Yizizi right now. You little thing, there is basically no need for me to make a move. The small Dumu could be seen charging towards Yizizi while carrying the aura of a supreme being. The small Dumu's 8 legs were like blades. Although it was a small Dumu, the poison within its body was not to be underestimated. The huge impact of the small Dumu's attack caused Yizizi's ponytail to dance crazily, and even Yizizi's fringe was messed up. End of chapter. Chapter 9:15. They actually sent a little one over, so gutless. Yizizi's ponytail shot out like arrows. Little Poison Wood's eyes seemed to be filled with contempt, and it still didn't change its posture. The 4 women who were watching the show sighed. They actually wanted to see Yizizi make a fool of herself so that they could ridicule her in the future. But this little Poison Wood was a bit retarded, actually baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Can't it use some brains? The hair directly pierced into Little Poison Wood's abdomen, and Little Poison Wood's eyes were filled with doubt, as if it didn't understand why hair could pierce through its defense. It simply didn't make sense. However, Little Poison Wood didn't even have time to react, and the blood essence in its body began to rapidly disappear. The speed was so fast that Little Poison Wood's big eyes revealed a look of horror. Its 8 legs could be seen stretching out, seemingly wanting to cut off the hair. Clang clang clang. Waves of metallic sounds could be heard, but it was completely useless. Yizizi slightly narrowed her eyes and said, although it's a bit disgusting, this blood essence is quite pure. It was a supreme after all, and Yizizi hadn't tasted it for a long time, so of course she felt that it was delicious. Qi Shuwen and Abalone were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. She. What is she doing? Abalone was incomparably terrified. Originally, he thought that this girl was very cute, especially those ponytails, which added a childlike charm to her. But now, there was no childlike charm at all, it was full of terror. Those cute ponytails actually became longer, directly piercing into Little Poison Wood's abdomen, making one's scalp go numb. One was disgusting, one was cute. But Abalone felt that this cute one was even more terrifying. I don't know either. Qi Shuwen was also a bit dumbfounded. Just who is this little loli? She's actually so powerful. That Little Poison Wood has the strength of a supreme. Could it be that this little loli can crush a supreme? Or could it be that all 5 women can crush a supreme? This is too shocking. Seeing that Yizizi was currently eating, Kaiyun fiercely swallowed his saliva. This is delicious, especially that big guy. In 2 breaths' time, Little Poison Wood's body became withered. Yizizi retracted her ponytails and licked the corner of her mouth. If I add some ketchup, the taste should be even better. Everyone, roar. Dumu, who had been in a daze, finally reacted. His entire body shot forward, his huge body seemingly about to crush Yizizi's body. Compared to the poison wood, Yizizi was like an ant. Yizizi stood still as she watched the poison wood crash towards her. She even had a smile on her face. Boom! The poisonous wood and Yizizi collided fiercely, causing the entire seabed to tremble slightly. Chi Shuin and Abalone stared blankly at the scene in front of them. Their jaws almost dropped to the ground. The strength of this poisonous tree was enough to make one's hair stand on end. Even the three Supremes chose to temporarily retreat and think of a way to deal with it. However, at this time, this poisonous tree, was actually sent flying by me. How could he accept this? Even Abalone was rubbing his eyes hard, unable to believe what was happening in front of him. Boom! The huge body of the poison tree landed on the sand, raising a wave of sand. Yizizi's body was like a cannonball as she shot towards the poisonous tree. Her petite body was instantly submerged in the sand. Then you can hear it. Boom, 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 the entire ground was shaking. Even the people in Water City could feel it. Right now, the expressions of the three Supremes who escaped were very bad. What should we do? If this abyss wave comes over, we won't be able to defend at all. Kong Feiqing said anxiously. This was a disaster for Water City. Feeling the ground shaking, Pai Liangjun gasped for breath. His expression was very bad, and he didn't express any opinion. Meanwhile, Bao Xi, who just saw his son die in front of him, had yet to recover from the sorrowful atmosphere. Say something, are all of you mute? Kong Feiqing roared anxiously. Bao Xi shouted out angrily, try and see if you still have the mood to care about other things after your son dies. Kong Feiqing didn't know what to say. The two of them had both lost a son, and this was indeed a huge blow to their hearts. Especially that he was actually treated as a host, and that fell into the magma, and not even his bones remained. Even Bao Xi's mount was eaten by the abyss wave. This blow was one after another, how could the others accept it? This is simply too cruel. Suddenly, the ground slightly trembled. Not good. Kong Feiqing said gravely. Bao Xi and Pai Liangjun both felt that this should be the aura of the abyss wave. How much longer are you all going to remain passive? If the abyss wave comes over, we will all be finished. At that time, Water City will become a dead city. Kong Feiqing shouted out angrily. Even at this time, they still have the attitude of wanting to give up. With this attitude, how can they possibly win against the abyss wave? Pai Liangjun said gravely, borrowing the power of the star cannon should be able to be of use. The other two nodded their heads. Right now, we will have to rely on the star cannon on the city wall. Let's hope that this star cannon will be able to be of use. After all, this star cannon is something left behind by the old ancestor. Damn, just what kind of person is your old ancestor? Are all these things so good? The three Supremes stood on the city wall and stared into the darkness. They were a bit panicked, because the other party wasn't an ordinary monster, it was an especially abnormal monster. Even on the city wall, there were slight tremors. The three's expressions were grave, and they didn't dare to be distracted. They can only strive to defeat the abyss wave, if not, the entire Water City would be doomed. Furthermore, they can't talk about the final distribution, because they have to defeat the abyss wave first. However, right now, it was Yizizi's one-sided abuse time. Within that petite body of hers, there seemed to be something even more terrifying hidden within. Right now, Dumu was a bit dazed from the beating, and he looked at Yizizi with one of his eyes, revealing I don't understand, but I feel that it's awesome, I feel that I shouldn't be beaten up to this state, why am I being beaten up like this? I am a burning spirit, a Dumu. How can the overlord of the sea be beaten up by a brat? This is completely impossible. This is impossible. Qi Shuwen and Baoyu's bodies stiffened. That girl actually beat up Dumu. Furthermore, it was that kind of beating up, just like a kindergarten kid bullying a baby. It was completely crushing without any difficulty at all. This isn't fake. The girl who scared away the three Supremes just now should be real. This is what an actor is. At least, this was what Qi Shuwen comforted himself. Dumu, who was dazed from the beating, suddenly let out a strange groan. The groan was a bit ear-piercing, just like a sonar. Yi Zizi, on the other hand, took a few steps back. I feel that Dumu is most likely going to use a big move. End of this chapter. Chapter 9:16. Poisonwood fiercely looked at Yi Zizi with one of his eyes, as if he wanted to swallow Yi Zizi alive. And Yi Zizi was the same as well. After I am done playing with this thing, I will eat this thing in front of me. This feels great. This fellow is so big, so thick, so strong. The taste is definitely not bad. I should be able to eat until I am 30% full. I should be able to. PFFF. Everyone was shocked. This poison wood's eyeball actually popped out. This is too scary. Is this unintentional or intentional? If it is unintentional, then it is a bit sloppy. Is this fellow so scared that his eyeball popped out? However, the reality was not like that. That huge eyeball rolled onto the sand, looking especially terrifying. When the eyeball rolled out, that huge body seemed to have lost some kind of power, and the body actually gradually shrunk, just like a burnt spider, and was even shrinking infinitely. Not only was the body shrinking, even that I was shrinking, becoming a normal size. Yi Zizi was also confused. What is this poison wood doing? Not only Yi Zizi was confused, Kai Yun and Yuhua were also confused, not understanding what was going on. Husband, what is going on? Abalone asked curiously. Qi Shuwen felt that if he was unable to answer, it would be a very embarrassing thing. After all, when Abalone asked him in the past, he was like an encyclopedia, and was able to answer everything. Therefore, he had to answer it now. Even if it was nonsense. Husband, you don't even know. Of course I know. Qi Shuwen hurriedly said, and in his mind, he was currently thinking about how he was going to bullshit. Then husband, tell me, don't tease me anymore. Abalone hurriedly asked. Seeing this monster being beaten to such a state, at least I managed to take revenge for my big brother. Qi Shuwen's face sunk, and just like a philosopher, he said, just now, this monster let out a strange sound. It should be summoning its companions. Then why did it make its eyeball pop out? This doesn't make sense, right? Qi Shuwen said inwardly, what do I know? Who knows why it wants to make its eyeball pop out? Is there something wrong with its brain? This is actually a type of secret signal. Maybe this eyeball belongs to someone else. Qi Shuwen bullshit again. There is no helping it. The preparations in the beginning were too good, and it was the same now. Abalone thought for a moment. Husband, you are really too smart. After saying that, she rewarded him with a kiss. Qi Shuwen even had the heart to die. Don't ask me any more questions in the future, please, especially this kind of problem that he didn't know the answer to. However, at this moment, at the edge of the magma, a palm suddenly stretched out and slapped the sea rock. Qin Yutong and the others immediately looked towards the magma, and their gazes revealed a look of curiosity. However, that palm instantly melted the sea stone. Then, with a plop, it sank again. The corners of Qin Yutong and the others' mouths twitched. I have already mentally prepared myself, and yet, this is what you are going to show me. I thought that there would be a deeper and more imposing entrance. In the end, it sank again with a plop. Wasn't it very embarrassing? I'm just asking if you feel very embarrassed. Ha 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 ha. Kai Yin took the lead and started laughing loudly, and Qing Yutong followed closely behind him. Even Yi Zizi was laughing to the point that she was holding on to her stomach. This was the scene of the final boss's appearance. The heavy atmosphere had been rendered very well, but in the end, it was all gone. The thriller had suddenly turned into a comedy. This change was too serious. It caught everyone off guard. You are truly 2F** king outstanding. Just as everyone was bursting into laughter, a figure suddenly rushed out from the magma. That's right, this was a figure. This figure had a head, legs, and hands, and its entire body was filled with magma, just like those lava men. Not sure why, Qing Yutong felt that this lava man was forcefully doing this, and once again exaggerating the way it appeared. After all, it was a bit embarrassing just now. One must know, the correct way just now was like this. A hand slapped onto the sea rock, and everyone would be shocked for a moment, wondering what that thing was. Then, it slowly walked out, and once the kind of terrifying aura was emitted, it would make people retreat. It was a pity that such a thing didn't happen. The sea rock melted, and the lava man sunk into the magma. Therefore, the lava man flew out from the magma and forcefully performed this scene. The lava man could be seen flying out from the magma and steadily standing on the sea sand. Although its expression couldn't be seen, it was reckoned to be very serious. But, ha 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 ha. Brett started laughing, and Kai Yun was already cramping in Yuhua's embrace from laughing. Yi Zizi didn't even want to fight anymore, this fellow is here to be a joke. Even Abalone was amused by the lava man. However, Qi Shuwen was a bit stupefied. He guessed it correctly. This is too mystical. Husband, you are truly too smart, Qi Shuwen took in a deep breath, I also know a lot of things. And my husband is indeed formidable. Being praised by his wife, Qi Shuwen felt a bit smug. The laughter continued, and looking at Yi Zizi who was in the sky, Qi Shuwen laughed until he slapped his thigh. Kai Yin felt that he was going to faint from laughing too much. Qing Yutong couldn't help but shout out, handsome, you stepped on your own eye, ha ha ha. It would have been fine if Qing Yutong didn't say it, but after Qing Yutong said it, everyone laughed even more happily. The lava man went into a daze for a moment, then lowered its head and moved its leg away. Poached egg could be seen imprinted on the lava man's leg, and there was even a bit of a roasted smell. That's right, the lava man indeed had the suspicion of wanting to act cool. Originally, I had already thought of a way to appear, but in the end, therefore, I changed it to jumping, and this time, I stepped on my own eye until it exploded. Isn't this even more awkward? Slowly, the magma on the lava man's body receded, and white skin was revealed. The entire body, there was something strange, because, I don't know if the lava man is male or female. If the lava man is male, then, what about little Pio? Then, if the lava man is female, the chest muscles are flat, and the hair on the legs, are they serious? So thick, the face is also very androgynous, but it's a braised egg, bald head. When Yi Zizi saw this appearance of the lava man, she immediately flew into Qing Yutong's embrace, expressing that she doesn't want to fight anymore. This is the funniest enemy that I have ever seen. He doesn't even need to fight at all, he can directly make the other party laugh to death. The lava man slightly bent down and picked up his poached egg. If one were to look carefully, at the center of the lava man's forehead, there was a closed eye. And this eye was placed precisely inside the lava man's eye. It's a pity that the lava man was stomped into a poached egg by me. Not only did I fail to act cool, I ended up being F***ed by myself instead. The lava man slowly turned around and looked towards the 5 women. His eyes were filled with violence, and his fists immediately emitted out a terrifying aura. It was undeniable that if this punch were to land, it would definitely hit the target. End of this chapter. Chapter 9:17. Lu Dan's heart was filled with thousands of curses. That poisonous would have been feeding my eyes for so many years, yet, however, he had stepped on it, and it had been cooked. It looked like a fried egg, and he had even been laughed at by the 5 women. Look at them, they seemed to be dying of laughter. How could it be so easy to be laughed to death? You must pay the price. But just as the egg was about to attack, the 5 women actually rushed over together. This made the braised egg turn from offense to defense. You want to sneak attack me? How is that possible? You are looking down on me too much. However, these 5 women. He was actually humiliating her. There really isn't. Kai Yun stared at it, then said in a low voice. He even flicked it with his finger. Qing Yutong patted on that bald head. This bald head is really bright, it's a bit reflective. This leg hair is also real. Then tell me, is it a man or a woman? I can't tell. Since I can't tell, I'll call you a transvestite. That's true. He's neither a man nor a woman. He's just a transvestite, Kai Yun said seriously as he stroked his chin. Lu Dan felt unwell. This was the first time. Encountering such a situation, these people were actually observing him at such a close distance, and that little girl actually had a finger flick. She actually bounced once. Do you think I can tolerate it? Obviously, he could not tolerate it. So I want blood for blood. What is your name? Qing Yutong asked curiously. My name is Ren Yao. Ren Yao blurted it out reflexively. After saying it, she felt something was wrong. Why did she tell them? They were his enemies. He wanted to crush their bodies and let them know that there was a price to pay for laughing at someone. Let's fight. You bunch of trash. Ren Yao. Hearing such a name, the 5 women confirmed their thoughts. He was indeed a transvestite. Why aren't you wearing any clothes? It's very rude to be naked. Kai Yun pursed his lips, looking as if he was saying, you're not a cultured person. The other 4 also revealed looks of disdain. Exhibitionist. I have no manners. When Ren Yao heard this, she almost went crazy. Who was the rude one? Who stared at others like that? Furthermore, who would come out of the magma with clothes on? Could they have some common sense? Seems like I have to let you know what common sense is. Hey, where are you from? Why would it appear from here? Yi Zizi asked curiously. Since this person could make her laugh, she had a good impression of him. After all, he was a joker. Ren Yao decided not to answer. I, Ren Yao, also want face. If I say it just because you want me to say it, wouldn't I lose face? Seeing that Ren Yao did not say anything, Kai Yun mumbled, so she's an orphan. Ren Yao was speechless. Orphan my ass, your whole family is the orphans. Which eye of yours sees me as an orphan? Looks like I'll have to teach you a lesson with my fists. Flag Master, you can't say he's an orphan. That's very rude. Yu Hua started to teach him carefully. Oh, got it. Humph. You know your wrongs now, but it's already too late. You will die under my fist, and your souls will tremble, unable to be redeemed. Yu Hua sighed softly. Others have cultivated until they are bald. It's obvious that they are very hard-working. Bald. Ren Yao felt her whole body trembling. I just haven't grown it yet. Which eye of yours saw that I'm bald? Come, let's shoot our mouths. It's not the Mediterranean Sea yet. Brett said faintly. What is the Mediterranean Sea? Ren Yao felt curious. Seeing that even Ren Yao was curious, Qing Yutong patiently explained the meaning of the Mediterranean Sea. Ren Yao felt that she was going to go crazy. Just what kind of mentality do they have, to actually still be provoking me? Don't they know that my fists are very scary? A hole might be opened up on your stomach, and it's the kind of hole that can't be filled up. Are you guys afraid or not? Quickly look, the eye that was crushed should be placed in the middle. Yi Zizi pointed at the space between Ren Yao's eyebrows and said. Qin Yutong let out a light sigh. You are too careless, you just had to crush your own egg. Wrong, you roasted your own egg, why bother? Qin Yutong patted onto Ren Yao's shoulder, with a look on her face. That kind of pain was not something that an ordinary person could endure. That's right, such a beautiful egg, and it was crushed just like that. Kai Yun also felt that it was a pity. Hearing the 5 women feeling that it was a pity, Ren Yao felt a bit emotional. The egg that I raised for so long, wrong. When did it become an egg? It was clearly just my eye, alright. These women that are messing around, I want to let them know how big, how thick, and how powerful my fists are. He cried. Brett said in a low voice. Ah! Yu Hua cried out in surprise. The 5 women directly looked towards Ren Yao's eyes, and within those eyes, there were tears. Ren Yao's heart was about to explode. You guys are making things up out of nothing. When did I cry? I obviously didn't cry. I, Ren Yao, have never lowered my head before, and I have never cried before. However, upon thinking about my own egg, Ren Yao's heart ached. Pay attention next time. If you fail to act cool, then you are called an idiot. If you succeed in acting cool, then you are called awesome. Yi Zizi said attentively. Just like you today, you were obviously acting like an idiot. Although your actions were wrong, it is undeniable that you made me laugh. You are still very successful. Do you want to learn how to act cool? Qin Yutong's eyebrows twitched, and with a look of acknowledge me as your big brother, I will teach you how to act cool. Ren Yao was shocked. I, Ren Yao, have acted cool countless times in my life. Do I still need you to teach me? Today was just a mistake. If you have the ability to do it again, I guarantee that I will let you all broaden your horizons. Kai Yun said, be at ease. If you follow us, you will be our little brother. Only if I am King sick would I follow you all. Ren Yao, I'm going to get rid of you all today, and wash away the humiliation with blood. Which unit are you from? Brett asked curiously. Which unit? Ren Yao had a puzzled look on his face. Yi Zizi snorted, old woman, don't use such advanced vocabulary, he won't understand. Ren Yao's face immediately sunk. They are actually looking down on me again. And you are still saying that I, Ren Yao, won't understand. How is that possible? Isn't it just a unit? My unit, what is that? I really don't understand. Qin Yutong waved her hand, all right, both of you speak less, can't you see that this? Comrade Ren Yao is very angry. Hee, at least you have some knowledge, to be able to know that I am angry. I will leave your corpse intact later. Usually, only stingy people would be angry. Kai Yun pouted her small mouth and said. The hell? She actually said that I, Ren Yao, am a stingy person. Am I, Ren Yao, that kind of person? I, Ren Yao, am a person who has the world in his heart. Would I get angry over such a small matter? Definitely not. End of this chapter. Chapter 9:18. Kai Yun stretched out his hand and plucked another strand of Ren Yao's leg hair, then said with a smile, like I said, how could other people get angry? Ren Yao took a deep breath, then shouted out in her heart, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. How could I get angry? Only a child would get angry. Indeed, he is a person with magnanimity. Yu Hua nodded her head. However, the 5 women were laughing so hard in their hearts. To actually not have any reaction even after doing this, I'm afraid that this boss is a bit of a chinibu. Is he so easy to deceive? This is too interesting. Why were you under the magma? Did someone lock you up? Qin Yutong asked curiously. This kind of curiosity made Renyao a bit moved. That's right, Renyao misunderstood. She thought that Qin Yutong was only asking because she was concerned about me. What a good person. I don't know. Renyao's reply made the 5 women go into a daze. I actually don't know. Come, let's sit at the side and chat. Brett said faintly. It was not suitable for them to stand at the side. Afterward, the 6 of them sat at the spectator seats at the side. This made Qi Shuwen and Bao Yu dumbfounded. Is this even possible? Such a powerful person was taken care of by us with just words. How can we accept this? He is definitely a trash boss, or he is an idiot. Husband, let's quickly leave. Bao Yu said tenderly, we can't stay here any longer. However, Qi Shuwen was still looking at Bao Po's corpse. There should be quite a few good things inside, if we leave right now. However, if we send Bao Yu away right now, we will definitely be suspected in the future. Husband, don't say any more. I know you definitely want to go and help, but the other party is too strong. Even if we go, we won't be able to help. Qi Shuwen went into a daze for a moment, then put on a heroic spirit. Sharky, if this monster appears in Water City, it will definitely cause trouble. Right now, I am your husband, I have the responsibility to bear this danger. Hearing that, Bao Yu went into a daze. Without caring so much, she directly kissed towards Qi Shuwen, feeling proud. Qi Shuwen felt so painful in his heart. After a long time, Bao Yu softly said, my husband, I know what you are thinking, but let's go. I won't blame you, you are the hero in my heart. Qi Shuwen still put on a pained expression, as if he wanted to die here. Abeo Yu had no choice but to directly drag Qi Shuwen and leave. That resentful gaze of Qi Shuwen. I really feel heartache for Bao Po's corpse. However, in the audience stands, there was a question being asked. If you don't know why you're here, do you remember who locked you up here? Yu Hua gently asked. This person's strength was very strong, much stronger than Du Mu. This was undeniable. But such a powerful person was sealed here, it was incomprehensible. Renyao raised her head slightly at a 45-degree angle, as if she didn't want her tears to fall. He was thinking too much. He was just creating a deep atmosphere, as if he had a story to tell. The 5 women just waited like that. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Yizizi couldn't take it anymore. Raising her hand, she slapped onto her bald head. Speak. Why did you hit my head, you shameless thing? Renyao expressed that she was very angry, she couldn't accept such humiliation. Thus, Renyao suddenly stood up, I'm going to use my fist, to let you know. Me. Renyao. No. Right after the word no was said, Renyao disappeared. Yizizi waved her fist. This person is truly asking for a beating, to actually play deep with us. Boom! A loud sound suddenly burst out, and the mountains at the side could be seen instantly collapsing. After a long time, the mountains finally calmed down, and Renyao laid within the ruins blankly. What happened just now? Sneak attack. That hateful little girl actually sneak attacked me. I, Renyao, want to let her know how terrible the consequences of sneak attacking me are. I'll blow your head apart with a single punch. Renyao's body immediately rushed over. Her speed was so fast that it actually created a sonic boom at the bottom of the sea. The scene could be said to be spectacular. Yizizi snorted, to actually compete with my fist, even his honor doesn't know how to do it. Yizizi didn't cower in the slightest, her small body rushed over, and just like that, her embroidered big fist smashed onto Yizizi. The two fists collided into each other at the bottom of the sea. There was a loud bang. The entire underwater world seemed to have quietened down. However, a ferocious wave of air immediately spread outwards, and the center of the explosion was flattened. However, this wave of air attacked towards Water City, and its aura didn't weaken at all. However, this was merely the wave of air that was created when the two fists collided. On top of Water City's wall. "It's coming," Bao Ci said gravely. "Activate the shield." Pai Liangjun shouted out lightly. The three overlords began forming hand seals, and the moves that they used were ever-changing. Afterward, the three overlords shouted out in unison, "Heavenly Sealing Ghost Art, Defense." A golden figure could be seen condensing on top of the city wall, and the figure was flickering. Looking at the wave of air that was coming towards them from afar, the three overlords were very astonished. That abyssal wave was actually so powerful, seems like we have still underestimated it. Fortunately, we ran away quickly, if not, we would definitely have died. Kong Feiqing still had lingering fear in his heart. "That's right, this kind of attack is too powerful," Bao Ci said in a low voice. "To actually attack with pressure, the attack is indeed ferocious." Pai Liangjun let out a breath. "Fortunately, we have a countermeasure, but what should we do when the wave of air attacks us? Then, we can only fight with our backs against the wall." Bao Ci's gaze became focused. "In that case, we can only use our trump card." Pai Liangjun and Kong Feiqing nodded their heads. "This is the only way." In a blink of an eye, the terrifying wave of air fiercely collided onto the city wall, and the golden light on the city wall illuminated the entire underwater world. A surging power spread out from the city wall, and the city wall actually managed to withstand the ferocious wave of air. However, the golden light on the city wall became much dimmer, and it was clear that the city wall wouldn't be able to withstand the next attack. One must know that this was a technique that three overlords worked together to unleash. However, they didn't expect that this was just the wave of air that exploded out from the clash of fists, and it wasn't an attack at all. If they were to know about this, they would definitely cry until they fainted in the toilet. At the scene, Yi Zizi held her breath, and then, Ren Yao disappeared again. In actuality, it wasn't that Ren Yao wasn't strong, a portion of her strength was stored within that eye, and in the end, that eye was crushed by me. If not, how could she have ended up in such a sorry state? However, from this point, it could be seen that this Ren Yao was indeed very strong. After all, she was still able to stand up under Yi Zizi's fists. If it was someone else, that person would have been beaten to death long ago. How terrifying! However, the current Ren Yao wasn't calm at all. Lying on the huge crater, while looking at the little girl that was not far away, Ren Yao was endlessly shocked. End of this chapter. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.